right, what is up, interwebs? How's it going? It is the headmaster, Father Brain of the Gaming Academy. We're back with another episode of Gaming Academy. I think number 45, actually. So, welcome back, students, to another session of the Academy. If it's your first time here, this is where we level up at your gamer quotient one class at a time. Gamer quotient is our brand. It's also the amount of gamer intelligence you have. So just keep that in mind. And tonight's syllabus is loaded tighter than a Super Nintendo cartridge based in 1991, like Star Fox. But hey, I don't do this by myself. I do have panelists with me here. Joining me at the round table of gaming greatness, we've got Blazing Ace Nelson, of course, our master of the tech, the man who treats gaming strategies like a secret cheat codes handed down from the gods themselves. Even if there is a hidden frame cancel or a 1% DPS boost, this guy has it bookmarked in his brain. All right. He's been through it. And of course, your cousin Nico tragically lead us back also with us, our resident gaming historian, news wrangler, professional meme curator. I don't know where that last one came from, but he who knows more about obscure gaming facts than most people know about themselves because he's been through it. I worked with him, and he's worked in the industry, so that explains that. If there was an unlockable achievement for a walking gaming encyclopedia, I would say he's your guy, especially for Bioware games. He's kind of run sounds weird. Run me through Mass Effect. That sounds kind of crazy, but yeah, this guy is a max prestige in my book. So tonight we got a full bar of XP to burn through. First up, this is of course always this week in gaming history, where we dive into the golden age of GoldenEye 007 and its legendary multiplayer roots. Just like your jerk friends that drop the proximity mine in the toilet in Complex. That was me. Then we speed run through quick bites, breaking down the latest and headlines, including Black Myth Wukong hype levels and NVIDIA's GeForce Now Cloud domination. Yeah, they're taking over, man. Whew, never thought I'd see today. Now after that, it's time for the roundtable, hosted by Blazing Ace, an open discussion where we'll be debating what truly makes a video game character iconic. Now, is it their look, their story, or just their ability to deliver one-liners that live rent-free in your head? Like Dante with Jackpot. That's always been a thing in my brain. So yeah, so tonight we got let's see here, and we got one more thing tonight. The final boss, of course, we face myself tackling life's ultimate grind, turning all those XP into late night farming sessions into lessons for leveling up your real life stats. This is class 45, guys. Iconic pixels, cloud futures, and the final grind starts now. So grab your gear, respawn your motivation, and let's kick ass. All right, let me jump in here with my squad. Hold me right in.
Whoa, seriously.
Thanks for making me sound like a meme edgelord.
Nah, dude, you're cool.
God.
45 episodes. And
It's a lot.
This is even with a few weeks that we took off near the end of the year last year.
Yeah.
That Christmas break, man.
And we had a couple study halls as well, so not exactly consistent throughout the year. So no, it's a lot. And we had something special for episode 50 for those in chat right now. Got Andre in there.
Hey, Andre.
I'm sure Jagos is there somewhere brooding. He's always brooding in the chat.
Making notes.
Yeah, taking notes. Probably ready to press like paste on a link that he was like, dude, I knew it. Look, check it out. So that's my boy Jagos. But yeah, we got a lot going on tonight. So let's just get straight to it. Unless you guys want to add anything, because I know Gamescom just came out. I haven't watched anything yet. I just saw thumbnails of stuff, but I'll be saving that for next week.
Saving discussion of it? I have it in the headlines.
No, just for me and Joe.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I will have a part of this, so spoiler alert.
Oh, I don't care about spoilers.
Okay, cool.
I'd be like, I'm the type of guy that goes, oh, that's cool. I'm gonna go check it out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Where's my book?
Waiting for it.
Well, I got the picture.
It's the wrong one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Same
Speaking
guy.
memes, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I get the picture. I got pages of. Yeah. Anything to add before we get this baby going?
I'm ready to do it.
Let's do this.
All right, we'll go right into it. We'll just like your favorite, my favorite. Game history. See, Andre couldn't resist. He's like, there was a lot revealed. Oh yeah, well, I'm pretty sure there was. Like, if the most important thing to me is Phantom Blade Zero release date. When the release date is the most thing you're eager to find out. is it's new. It's new to me. So, all right. First, if it's your first time here, this week in gaming history, where we cover game releases throughout. Guess what? History. In this case, it's going to be 17 all the way to the 21st, I believe. So let's get rock and rolling. All right, this first one up here, what we got? Oh, I know I had to bring up this one because Ace just talked about this game in our podcast. So on 8/17, Wayfinder came out on the PS4, PS5 in 2023. But I'll just let Ace talk about this game because he knows lots about it.
Well, Wayfinder actually had itself something of a troubled history. But initially, it was being developed between Airship Syndicate, the creators of Battle Chasers, with also the lead art designer behind the Darksiders series, Joe Drea. It was being developed between them and the developers of Warframe, Digital Extremes. They were going to be publishing the game. But, there were some issues, there were some behind-the-scenes issues with that, and it eventually led to, Airship Syndicate having to split off from Digital Extremes and pretty much rework the game from the ground up. Because at first it was going to be a live service game like Warframe is. Mm-hmm. But after the split, they pretty much had to rework it and reconfigure it to being a offline multiplayer game. But
who was I guess like whose idea was it to go live service? Was it the publisher or is it Wayfinder, the devs?
That was initially their idea.
Okay. Gotcha. The game looks cool. I like the look of the game. Like, I think you said Joe Mad did the art, right?
Mm-hmm.
That explains a lot. Yeah, because I mean, big shoulder pads, broad shoulders, like lots of bold lines. Very early World of Warcraft looking. Very Joe Mad, right? Chris Metzen, Joe Mad style. I love it.
But yeah, if you're looking for another sort of action, hero-based action RPG, and you're not really feeling the First Descendant or Warframe, looking for something that's a little more animated, a little bit more comic book style, and certainly a little more vibrant, especially with like a lot of the colors and the character design choices.
It looks good.
Wayfinder is definitely one to check out.
It's cool looking. Like, I don't know too much about the game, right? But like visually, we talk about how sometimes visually a game, when you see it, you're like, I want to check it out just because of the way it looks. Like Wayfinder is one of those games for me where I'm like, oh, dude, that looks cool, right? And so that, I mean, enough said on that part. Yeah. Anything else, Ace?
Like as far as little bits of the story, just to help sweeten the pot, I suppose. Basically, your characters in Wayfinder are like the resurrected spirits of ancient heroes. The spirits of ancient heroes resurrected after this like centuries long war where basically humanity lost.
Oh, so it's post-apocalyptic.
Yep. And you start basically fighting your way back from the brink and kind of rediscovering the world.
What's up?
As you're making your way around.
It's got that like that mysterious Monster World, Monster Hunter Wilds vibe, post like civilization kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. That looks cool. Like, how many characters are there? I think 8.
There's 9 characters now.
9.
Because they just. I forget who the new character was that they added. It was another. yeah, it's been a while since I played it because everything else is becoming out.
There's just too many games. We all know this. There's just too many games. All right. So some other games that have come out on the 17th. My pick was Air Fortress on the Nintendo in 1987. I was 6 years old when that came out. Just I believe, a top-down shooter. Hot Shots Golf 4 on the PS2 in 2004, which is hilarious. Get it? 4. And Kane Lynch 2 Dog Days came out basically on, I think, generation in 2010. Uh, Man, speaking of dead IPs, Kanan Lynch. When was the
Man,
last time we heard from Kanan Lynch? Man.
you can say the last time we heard from Kane Lynch, it's been a dog's age.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
Thanks, Ace.
Yes, I know I'm grounded.
I hope the industry finds a way back to co-op shooters, because I love co-op third-person shooters. That was always my favorite thing in during that era. Was that 2010s, maybe 2009s, 10s, that era around there. So, all right, sweet. All right, moving on to the next day here. Speaking of shooters, Wolfenstein came out basically on every console back in 2009 because it's Wolfenstein. Like, you got you got new tech, you got new hardware. Developers are going to want to make their IPs on the newest thing and figure out how to change it up a little bit. Unfortunately, I didn't play this one. I skipped over this one because I was more of a Call of Duty guy era in third person Gears. So I don't know too much about it. How about you, Nick? I know you're like a Wolfenstein guy, unless you skipped this one too, like me.
I did not like this one.
You didn't like this one?
I think we've talked about it previously in a couple different just podcasts that kind of just pop up, especially because I'm such a fan of like the reboot series, like New Order.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, like we've talked a lot about that, so I won't dive too deep on it. I just remember playing this one because I remember the cover art really well, just that kind of like the ghost, like skeleton Nazi on the front kind of thing. It always kind of
Yeah.
stood out when it was on the shelf. So eventually I picked it up. And again, this was before the reboots. This was kind of like the more supernatural, kind of a slower paced take on it. You can kind of see from the gameplay here, like a little bit more into the occult kind of side of the story from what I remember. But it has been a long time since I played it. I just remember not really enjoying it. I mean, when it came out, 2009 had a lot of different games, and this felt dated when it came out, from what I remember. But again, it's been a while since I played it.
Is it the same team that did the reboot? Was this a different team? This is Raven and id, right?
Yeah, this Raven was behind it. And it was published by id. And this, like you can tell by looking at it, was id Tech 4. Like it was a very, very particular thing that was done. But yeah, this was Raven's attempt at it.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, a little bit different.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel if this felt more like a BioShock than it did, like it went more towards like the I don't know, the what do you call this? Not horror aspect, the more like, I don't know, zombie. It was the era of zombies, right? So they're trying to go with zombie, like super, like not spiritual.
Well, one other thing I've also noticed, because I skipped this one because I was playing other stuff around the time, but it seems like 2009 especially was the year where again, like you said, developers they were getting their hands on new tech and they wanted to find ways to resurrect and reinvent their old IPs, because a lot of what you said about this, Nick, as far as like how you didn't really like it so much because it seemed like it was Wolfenstein in name only. There was another resurrected IP that came out this exact same year that a lot of folks felt the same way about.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I pulled up 2009 in gaming just to see like the releases, like some of the games that came out that year. We're talking OG Borderlands, Uncharted 2, Demon Souls, Bayonetta, Minecraft hit then, Dragon Age Origins, New Super Mario Brothers Wii, like some pretty big like games and releases. Left 4 Dead 2. Like games you'd much rather play. And now that I'm saying that, I was looking at reviews of this just to pull it up, just to kind of like refresh. And there are like multiple reviews kind of pointing out the fact that day one there needed to be a patch because the multiplayer had so many bad issues when it launched. So when you're going up against things that have become kind of a standard in the industry since, you can see why maybe it kind of fell to the wayside. And again, just kind of looking at this with its pacing compared to like the new updates on it and where they went with it. Granted, the benefit of hindsight, we could have easily said that, but yeah, man, that's just kind of what I remember of it. It was kind of a very quick
Like, I
get
don't
in, get out
understand this
kind of
like
thing. It was just like, eh.
this green glow mode that's happening here. It's not very Wolfenstein. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like I
Like
don't.
I said,
Yeah,
it leads more to the occult a little bit,
yeah,
as
like the
opposed to like
paranormal stuff.
as opposed to like because I mean it's been pretty well documented that in history the leaders of that party were
Yeah,
really interested in occult stuff. So I can see why they would lean into it. It makes perfect sense. There's some occult stuff in the remakes as well. But this was like leaned full into it to kind of explore that, which is not a bad idea on paper. But
yeah.
then you kind of get this mixed review kind of like feeling on it.
AKA could have been DLC. That's all I'm saying. It could have been DLC. All right. Other games that came out aside from what Nick said, Disney Infinity actually launched that this day also on 2013. Came out on everything. That was like their Combat to Amiibo. So
Yeah, it was the Toys the Life kind of thing. It was that, and remember Skylanders?
Skylanders, yeah.
Having to like stock Skylanders, like oh my god, dude.
Oh, and trading them in, and you're like, which ones are the rare ones? Oh my god! Like it was like,
Or I have to get. I remember there was a couple games where you had to get the right element, or you could not get further in the game.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's like their way of like making you buy more stuff, but like I get it. But if you don't know too much about that game, yeah, you're gonna come back and get stuck in that game. Unfortunately, that was just one of the things we had to deal with during that time at the game store. So, yeah, some other games. Speaking of, I know that Tales of Xillia just got remastered. I saw the thumbnail. That's pretty cool. But Tales of Berseria came out on the PS3, PS4 back in 2015 during this day, also in Japan. Mortal Shell, another Dark Souls clone, came out and everything in 2020. That was a good one to pass the time until 3 had come out. My personal favorite of mine, Rogue Legacy 2. I played the first one a lot, not the second one, on the PC in 2020. Spiritfarer seems to be an indie cult classic. Came out and everything in 2020. This is all COVID era, by the way. And then My Hero Ultra Rumble, if you want to on the PS4, if you want to combine My Hero Academia and Fortnite, that's what you get. My Hero Ultra Rumble. Looks like Ace, you have a note here about Berseria.
Yep. Now, up until this point, I mean, I think we'd already talked about it with, last week when we were talking about the anniversary of the release for Tales of Xillia. But Berseria is another one of my favorites in the franchise because the story itself is just, I mean, the game starts and you're kind of seeing the red flags already where you're starting out with this sort of peaceful village as you're running around as Velvet. But oh boy, if you ever wanted to play a JRPG where you see the main character's life fall apart,
I don't need to play a game for that.
From the roof to the fucking foundation, her shit just gets demolished. The first part of the game is pretty much seeing how that all goes down, and then the rest of the game, especially as you're like, running into your allies and having them all join the party, it's literally a game where you are rooting for the bad guys throughout the course of the entire adventure.
Rooting for the bad guys.
Now, of course, your team is the bad guys. It's just you wind up having to face off against the worst guys.
the worst than the bad guys. Your anti-hero team, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. I know, like during this time, Tales was, like I said, the alternate choice of Final Fantasy. If you weren't feeling Final Fantasy, Namco had Tales for you to play. A little bit more like, on the cartoonish side versus like their real aesthetic, So it's all about flavor.
Animu.
It's all flavor, baby. All
Hey,
flavor.
I actually enjoyed the Tales series. I got into it late, so I appreciate
Yep.
Ace mentioned that because Visceria is one of the ones I didn't play. I remember when this showed up in store, I was like, oh, I should probably check that out because I really enjoyed playing Tales of Vesperia. That was the one that I got into first, especially on the 360. Like
Mm.
that was the first one I got, and then I started like checking out some of the other ones. I bought. Shoot, there was also like Zillia 1 and 2 I remember getting. I mostly got it for the steel books at the time for the second one, but I didn't play it through because that's just the way I am.
Copy of the second one. I've got the first.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know if I did get rid of that one. But I had day one bought Tales of Arise because I liked the trailers for it and I was really interested in it. So, and again, that was just based on people like Ace coming into the store and kind of talking about it and just, mentioning I should give it a try. Kind of similar to when he was talking about the Atelier games recently. And Lumia, I think, was the one we were talking about because that was almost out at the time. And I really wanted to play that after hearing about it and checking out the trailer. So that'd be another one I go back and play when I take my family leave, when I got a little more time. Ace, while we're on the topic, do you know how many sales Tales of Berseria had lifetime?
No.
2.5 million. So just to compare that, Tales of Symphonia had 2.4. Tales of Vesperia in its original release had 2.37, Tales of Destiny 1.7, and Tales of Arise 3 million. So on the higher end, but not peak. There you go, anti-heroes, man.
I would say Tales fans are pretty consistent. They show up.
Yeah, we.
Not for sure. Like some of these are down, but that might also be a discussion for a different time. Like when you have a long-term series and you put it on a different platform. Like
Yeah, that's
Graces,
true.
Graces on the Wii, very low, like 500K.
And also wasn't on the Vita, I think. Like no, that was Tales of Heart.
Yeah, Tales of Hearts, which was even lower. On the Vita, it sold 75,000 copies total.
Yeah, well, player base is not very big on the Vita anyway. So, how much did you said Symphonia right already? 2.
Yeah, Symphonia had 2.4.
That's the first one I played actually, which got me into the Tales games after that. Super cool.
Right, and that does include everything but the remaster in its sales. So I don't know if the remaster maybe ticked it up because we did say like the remaster looked great. When we were talking about remasters and remakes, that was one of the ones we kind of talked about because it just looked good.
Yeah. And they run pretty good too, so they're overall pretty decent games and pretty good price too. Once as soon as they're finished launching, they go down to pretty good deals. So awesome.
Also, shout out to Spirit Fair. I actually ended up really liking that game. I tried it on a whim on I think it was on Game Pass. It was really good.
Yeah, it's one of those like hits that, and also like it's like not you don't know anything about the game until you like actually play it because like it looks like a generic indie game.
Right. I think for you and me, because we play very similar games, sometimes the scratch itches. Like it's like a management sim and a sandbox action game smashed together.
Exactly. Yeah, and I didn't know it was a management sim until like I looked into it, right? Because visually I'm just like, oh, it looks like a platformer to me, So and I didn't even know about roguelites until Rogue Legacy. Literally, Rogue Legacy was my first roguelite, where like it's always changing every time you play, and it's the whole point of the game is to die, try it again, try again. That was my first experience. So kind of fun part that it was Rogue Legacy. So ironic. All right. Speaking of ironic, I chose Counter Spy on the 19th of August because probably no one's played it on this panel but me. So
played it, no, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, I heard about it. All right. Well, I actually have some put stuff here. I was ready for this. Well, not really, because this is the wrong one. this one right here. Okay, so bam. So I actually enjoyed this little indie title on the You liking the vibe? So you play as a spy, and then you're on this like map, right? And then you're supposed to like sabotage, do all these crazy things that you do as a spy would. But it has this like 50, 60s like look to it,
Mhm.
right? Very villainous, very Austin Powersy. Huh?
Yeah,
And it's actually like a tactical, like a platformer. It's really interesting. So yeah, it's telling you the rules right now because it's the tutorial, but you shoot the cameras out. Very Metal Gear if it was 2D, right? So I guess this is why I liked it because it was basically Metal Gear. So, yeah, this is Spy versus Spy.
Team ready. Form up. Ready to engage.
Yep, there we go. They're coming.
Hostile fire. Gunfire.
And I don't know what about it. This game was like. This game was just so addicting. I don't know why.
Calling in.
It was maybe because it was so unique. The flavor was on point, and it just kept bringing me back.
Team ready.
Jagos is like, "Ooh, I played that game."
yeah. Like I'm seeing the stealth, the Metal Gear style stealth elements, and like the
guy's not very
side
good.
scrolling platforming. Oh, 2014, of course. Sorry, again. Making parallels to other games that came out around this year. Striker.
Oh yeah, I mean Strider was definitely a great game to pick up during this time. But yeah, that is my choice of tonight for Counter Spy. It was Counter Spy. It also came out on the Vita as well. I didn't know it came out on the PS4, that's interesting. But here's a game that I feel it should make a comeback, a good comeback, and I think Xbox should actually lead the comeback. Is Dead to Rights came out in 2002 on the OG Xbox. I feel like that's a game that has been forgotten, of course of time, and it's an action like shooter. You also get a dog. Like getting the dog is like one of the best parts, right? The dog's name is Shadow. Do you have Dead to Rights up out there, Nick?
Yeah, I had to skip forward a little bit.
Oh, was it violent?
No, it was like I just opened it. It was immediately a strip club.
Oh, nice. Oh, there you go. Well, it's a
Look at all the models being the same.
It's 2002 strip club, so it's okay. What is that? Austin. That's funny. But yeah, I feel like this game could use like a return to the industry. Could take the Max Payne route, whatever. But the coolest thing about this game was the takedowns. That was the signature of this game, to disarm like an NPC or whatever, and it just looked really cool, right? So that maybe down the road this could have like the DMC5 treatment, but with a little I want to say with guns, but DMC has guns, so there, but it is like a beat 'em up. So
It's kind of crazy because the first game in the series was developed by Namco as a timed exclusive, and there was multiple other games that came out for it. Eventually, like Rebellion took it on as well. So it's kind of crazy. I completely forgot there was like more than just the couple, because they did a GBA version as well.
Yeah,
and
it was a pretty popular IP at the time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I could see why.
Yeah. Club fighting. Also, I feel like this paved the way for Sleeping Dogs. Like this is like the beginning of like you're looking at this, you're like, I feel like this is like alpha Sleeping Dogs, right? And then Sleeping Dogs is like the culmination of what they. I know it's totally different teams, but like what's hot, what's popular right now.
Right. Like it feels like Sleeping Dogs is definitely like the end result of a lot of the ideas and concepts that were worked on and that were brought about to make Dead to Rights kind of out.
Yeah,
I could see the similarities and why you'd say that.
Yeah,
for
sure. I mean, this is more level based. Sleeping Dogs is clearly Saints Row style,
yeah,
But
like
this is like
a GTA
like I said,
clone kind of thing, but it was taking that and mashing it together with like Hong Kong action cinema.
Yeah,
especially with the story as well. It reminded me a little bit of like the serious side of Yakuza games, with a little bit of like weird stuff kind of mixed in that makes you go like, is this the same game? Like, there's a couple of those moments.
Well, that's when I found out the difference between open world and open environment. Like Yakuza's open environment and GTA's open world, and I was like, wow, brain has exploded. Like I'd never, never realized that. So that's super cool. Okay, some other games that came out on the 19th. Suikoden 4 came out on the PS2, 2004. Ironic. A game called Too Human on the 360 in 2008. Was that the weird
Oh,
one?
Too Human.
Yeah. Speaking of platforming, side scrollers, Shadow Complex came out on the PS4, 360, 2009. Chat, are you familiar with Shadow Complex? Because not a lot of people know about that game. And Saints Row 4 came out on the PC in 2013. Tales of Xillia 2 on the PS3 in 2014. One of my favorite games back in 2020, Remnant from the Ashes on PC came out in 2019, and Black Myth Wukong made its release last year on 2024 as
If
well.
you if you ever want to know about some just disaster game releases in gaming history, Too Human has to be up there. Like, just hearing the name again, I just immediately think of Silicon Knights and just rest in peace, King.
Yeah, I think Matt McMuscles did a what happened on that, and he did a good job of like explaining what happened to that game. So check that out, chat, if you guys are
Aptly
curious.
named.
Yeah. What happened?
Oh, here we go.
All right, so more Tales games for Ace. Tales of Xillia 2. What did you want to talk about?
Well, Zillion 2 I marked off because, that right there was, you know, a direct, it wasn't the first direct sequel that was actually done for the Tales games. I think that actually belongs to, well, there was a Tales of Destiny 2. Yeah, Tales of Destiny 2 and Tales of Symphonia, Dawn of the New World. Those are earlier direct sequels in that series, but Tales of Xillia 2 was the first one as far as a direct sequel that I had played, and
I think I soared, bro.
really enjoyed it because you pretty much get returning characters from the first game, and I basically picked up both games at the same time, so I played through the first one, really had a great time with it, and then 2 not only expanded further on the combat, but again with seeing something of a 2-year time skip for all of the characters that you've grown attached to from the first game. And mild spoiler, antagonists from the previous game actually joined your team.
They're back, like the Shredder.
But yeah, again, just seeing as how this week is like a pretty solid week for Tales franchise releases, and I marked both of those games off, both Berseria and Xillia 2, with no idea that the Xillia remaster.
I almost feel like they're doing it on purpose. Like this is our time where we release all these games historically. So this is the best time we should announce it. Is it me, or is the main character? He's like anime cop man, and then his buddy looks like they're giving me Spike and Vicious vibes. Like, look at this.
Close.
Check this out real quick. Right, there's Spike, and then Vicious back there with Sephiroth's sword. Yeah, it's kind of it. I just noticed that. I was like, huh, interesting. Design, character design. All right, let's see here. Yeah, I'll talk about Saints Row 4. I love Saints Row 4, but everybody knows. And of course, Black Myth Wukong is pretty key in our industry because Chinese developers weren't really a thing until like last year, and then now they're just coming. They're coming for us, in the industry, which is great. Koreans and Chinese participating in in the development cycles of these games, because it used to be just just to be the West and Japan, right? So I love it. I love that they're pushing the other two titans to be better. I love that. That's good. Innovation.
It's competition breeding innovation.
Yes, sir. Now, speaking of competition, we'll get to that. But I want to talk about a specific game here. On the next day, on the 20th, Kiku. This guy, this bad boy. Hey, don't laugh. This bad boy.
No, I'm laughing because Dive Kick is dope.
It's fantastic. Check this out, chat. I'm ready for you, chat. Look at this. So this game is a love letter from the FGC. A lot of the characters in this game are just jokes of people in the FGC, right? And it's a one-hit fighting game, two-button fighting game. It's a jump and kick. That's all you do. It's two buttons, and every character plays a little bit differently. Uh, Jabin. Uh, and yeah, these are all parodies of characters or people in the GC. I don't know about Kung Pao, but yeah, definitely a fun little game made by the love of the community in the fighting game community. Now, the reason why it's dive kick, I just want to let you guys know this chat. The dive kick in fighting games is the most busted move in most fighting games because it usually leaves you like in a block stun, and it's so powerful because you're in the air, you're coming down, and it's too fast. Thank you, Yoon from Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, because he's the one that really like made it really really obnoxious. So, but yeah, yeah, I was like you. Fast forward here to some. But yeah, this is a one button fighting game where one touch deaths. Check it out. There's all.
Yeah. What? One touch.
It's so dumb.
One touch kills, two buttons. Figure it out.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think at the time they had released a dive kick controller, which was literally two buttons, two big buttons, jump and kick, jump and kick.
On my screen, I have the controller because I remember. This.
Okay.
I remember playing this at PAX before it released. Like just the fun that the devs had, just kind of talking about it. Like you said, it was a love letter, right? It was just like.
Bro,
being able to just the humor that's in it too, the character designs, everything from base was meant to be that love letter, but also like tongue in cheek funny too. Yeah, man, I just remember seeing it on the PAX show floor, just going like, "Oh, it's called dive kick. What do you do? It's literally in the name.
A dive and kick."
It's exactly what it says on the tin.
It's like it's one giant inside joke of a game. It's exactly what it is. Also, can we find out how much that controller is? It's probably not real. It's probably in some dev's basement, right? Like they never sold that thing, but I'm pretty sure that ended up in a store somewhere.
And Gadget did a hands-on with that controller at GDC 2013.
Really, 2013 by Iron Galaxy, same guys that did the OG KI. Awesome. Well, OG KI on the Xbox, that is. All right, other games that come out on the 20th, Armored Core 2, Another Age, PS2 in 2001. So if you like more mecha, Transformers Fall of Cybertron on the PC in 2012, the Yakuza Remastered Collection, PS4 in 2019. That's Value City right there. And also the Battletoads reboot came out on the PC and Xbox One in 2020. So, it's kind of dumb that like a controller has two buttons, but like, who am I to judge? It's for this game specifically. It's basically this game's Steel Battalion controller.
Basically,
that's what it is. All right, Ace, you're our Armored Core fanboy. What you got for Another Age? What does Another Age mean?
Okay, so Another Age is the direct sequel / expansion to Armored Core 2. This one expands on the initial story that was started in Armored Core 2, where the action had now been taken off world, and now the mega corporations are fighting over resources and territory on Mars, and of course your character, your mercenary, is part of the team known as the Raven's Nest, hence why all the mercenaries are known as Ravens. And you're basically caught in the crossfire, just fighting for each of the corporations until eventually you just turn on everybody and say, "Fuck it, you ball."
That's what he says. It's canon. He says that.
Well, one of the things that was actually introduced in Armored Core 2, Another Age, was melee weapon arms, because in the previous games, not only did you have your regular grubby mitts, but you also had machine gun arms, rocket launcher arms, bazooka arms, which were stupidly powerful. But in this one, you actually got a set. You could actually get a set of twin laser blade arms, so you could have just a straight up melee whip. And some of the stuff that some of the stuff that was actually possible with the new parts and the new part types in the game, just it was FromSoft further iterating on and evolving on what they'd already established in the previous game. And I mean, you can already see, like, especially compared to the first games back on the PlayStation, you can already see how the speed of the game is actually starting to pick up.
Oh yeah, the frame rate's much better. The animations are smoother. Even the UI itself is like cleaner. Like it's just they're utilizing the system a lot better for sure. They're learning. It almost kind of shows me like how when you play every Dynasty Warriors game, the differences of each one, like Armored Core has that same journey.
Yep. And yeah, this right here, Armored Core 2 and AC2 Another Age, this is all early PS2.
Still looks good. I wonder if they'll ever go back to like remaster or remake older Armored Cores. Or they'll just move forward to like Armored Core 7, So it's like what's the point when you can make a new game, right?
Yeah, as long as we don't have any revisionist history like my Yakuza Remastered collection that we just breezed by without so much of an extra thought.
No, we're still talking about the first game here.
I know. I'd talk about it all night, so it's just.
What's wrong? I don't know. What's wrong with the remaster?
Oh, it's a small detail on Yakuza 3 on the front cover. The original release cover, Kiryu has a cigarette in his mouth. In the remastered collection, they took it away. It's just him staring up at the sky. It's just, all they did was took out the cigarette. Like,
because smoking is not good for you. Is this when they introduced the overboost finally?
Yeah, this is also when they introduced overboost.
Okay, I knew that was a thing. I just never seen it in action. So that's cool. That's cool. Because I was like, man, go faster. So I'm glad overboost is a thing. Wonderful. Now, if you like mecha, I got it right here for y'all. Because I actually enjoyed this game thoroughly myself. Played it for a while, for a wee bit.
Yes,
and it is Fall of Cybertron. This game is like, if you like Transformers, this is the game for you. Like I'm not a big Transformers fan, but like this did a good job of like making me feel I'm in like the world of Transformers. Not the movie. Also, this is like technically what the cartoon is, right? G1.
Activision was in their bag.
Well, High Moon Studios also. Like they were the ones that made this happen.
Yeah, High Moon Studios was in their bag with this and War for Cybertron. Both of those games were just absolutely stellar.
Yeah. No, honestly, man, like, I wish they would remaster the 60 frames per second and just clean it up. I would replay this game instantly. Like, this game's so cool. Like, it's for the Transformers fan. That's all I got.
I know we all have our opinions on pre-orders. But the moment I catch even a whiff of either of the two Cybertron games getting remastered, they got me.
That'd be cool if they were like this, a collection, right? That'd be sick too. If both of them were in a compilation, that'd be great because they kind of go one after the other.
Yeah.
Right. So that'd be cool as well. I don't even know if Activision has the license anymore. To be honest with you.
Funny enough, there's a particular person that I follow on Twitter who has been uploading archived files of various games to the Internet Archive for preservation, including this, War for Cybertron, and Transformers Devastation.
Good call. I think I'm thinking about it. The last, Transformers owned by Hasbro technically, at least for the toy stuff. And there was Game Mill made that G.I. Joe game. They also made that other Transformers tactical game. So I think they have the license right now. I don't know if Activision has it back. So that's going to be a problem. They would have to acquire it back just to get this game released. But man, look at the designs of the Transformers in this game. So cool when you get the Dino. But oh my! All right, I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's great. It's so awesome.
The Grimlock sections of the game were pretty freaking
It's
wild.
too powerful. It's too powerful. Is all I'm saying. It's too strong. But yeah, that is the 20th. Now, speaking of powerful and power levels, on the 21st, one of the worst fighting games ever released was Dragon Ball GT Final Bout on the PlayStation. Now, chat, I want to say something. I actually liked this game a lot when I was a wee child because I liked Dragon Ball when I was a kid, and but it didn't like us. That's all I gotta say. It played like hot trash on a hot summer day. The controls were not great. The characters were very, very low polygon. It was one of the first Dragon Ball games ever released in the United States, so that was a big deal. And my story for Dragon Ball GT, I was at Software Etc. in Bellis Fair Mall, and I saw it on the shelf, and I said, "Hey, $39.99. That's a good deal for Dragon Ball GT. I like Dragon Ball." Yeah, it's not great. Not great. The definitely some localization issues at the time because they were depending on who's localizing them, right? Not like today where it's like it's so prevalent in our culture now that Dragon Ball is like a religion, but during this time it was still a weird cartoon anime from Japan, right? So I don't know. Do you guys have a story about Dragon Ball GT? I know they had re-released it again years later with a different cover art. But the first cover art, this is the one that you saw in the beginning here, is the first printing of it. So, very interesting.
No, I just remember testing this when we were testing consoles back in the day to test
It's
like
bad.
buttons and stuff.
Yeah,
Realizing it was trash even then, because again, I liked Dragon Ball. But again, shout out to Matt McMuscles, his worst fighting game series definitely covered this one too.
I was gonna say like this probably isn't a great game to test controllers because the game feels like trash. So it's like your controllers are busted; they're not responsive.
Right,
No,
but it
the
was
game
one
is
of those
garbage.
things too, like when you're behind the counter, like there's so many games out there to play and try that you're just like, I'm going to try this one for this console this time, kind of thing. And again, it's like, I like Dragon Ball, let me put it in this Dragon Ball game, and you put it on just like button mash or something to make sure the buttons work, and then you get this, and you're like, I'm not sure if
So-
it works or not.
Chat when the key blast collision happens, there's no sound. Literally no sound when they struggle. It's terrible. Remember what I said? Ultimate Battle 22 was terrible. This is like the same. This. There's no. This is better than that. They're both terrible. So, and then we made up for it years later with Dragon Ball Fighter Z. So that's where Arc System works.
Funny enough, literally like two of the very first foreign games that I had ever played on the PlayStation. Back in the innocent emulation days of Bleem, were this and Ultimate Battle 22.
So yeah, the two PlayStation games.
Ooh,
Now
that's unfortunate.
there is a PlayStation Dragon Ball game that was decent at the time. And I'll try to pull it up here to show you.
You mean Super Dragon Ball Z?
No, because that's already PS2 era. This is still PlayStation 1. And I'll pull it up here.
I could have swore Super Dragon Ball was PS1.
No, right here, man. Dragon Ball in Dainaru. Dragon Ball Densetsu. So this was an import only. Let me get Nick. This was only an import only Dragon Ball game on the PlayStation, and it played like Xenoverse for what it is on the PlayStation, right? So, sword. So there's that. Right there you go. Boom. So the whole concept of this game is you fill up that power balance meter in the bottom, and once you fill it up all the way, you get to do your super move, and that's how you actually reduce life bars from your opponent. But this is the closest thing you play to a Dragon Ball game, right? Look at that. It has the same kind of
And the 2D sprites on the 3D background.
Yeah.
The Xeno games.
Pretty much. Let's see if I could find. So here it is. Like, if Goku gets this bar full, he gets to do a spirit bomb on you, right? And this was like at the time, this was like, oh my god, it's so sick, like, and it's because it's cinematic, right? But yeah, this never came out in the U.S., but arguably the best Dragon Ball game during that time, uh, of the Dragon Ball game. But Dragon Ball Super, or was it Super Dragon Ball? I think was PS2, because I remember the box art, and that was actually not bad. But if you want the real like story mode, like right now it's Goku and Vegeta versus Jason Barter. After you beat this level, you fight like Raccoon or whatever. Like it follows the story pretty well. So, but yeah, let's. I'm not gonna jump in. Definitely a Dragon Ball. So keep talking about it. The other games that came out this month, actually, or this day, is actually pretty great. For example, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six came out on the PC in 1990. Which is fantastic. That's like the beginning of the series, right? Bless Rainbow Six, because that really led us to Vegas. BioShock also came out on the 21st, PC 360 in 2007. I know Andre likes Ratchet and Clank, so Ratchet and Clank feature Quest for Booty. That's right. On the PS3, came out in 2009. Arkham Asylum on the PS3 in 2009. Way of the Samurai 4 on the PS3 in 2012. Guacamelee 2 on the PC, PS4 in 2018, and Shenmue 1 and 2 came out basically on everything in 2018 as well. Arco. So funny. Here's a quick funny story about. I was just in our local GameStop, literally just. That's what we do here. Here's Chrono Trigger for you. Nice. I was hanging out at the local GameStop, and buddy Anton was working the front. Front. It's the front. I was gonna say front door, but there's no. And he was demoing Asylum, and I was walking by, and he was like, "Hey, have you played a new Batman?" I was like, "Nah, dude. Hero games are trash because they've historically been bad, right? Any like superhero game, just Superman 64, come on, terrible, right? Stuff like that. The Iron Man games, Thor, right? All those games had come out, and they were like kind of like mid, like out of 10, they were like probably 3 or 4." But he was like, "No, check this out, dude. Check out this demo." And so it was like just Batman on like this room where you fight like 20 thugs. And he gave me the controller and he was like, "Just play it." So whenever you see the lightning above your head, press triangle to counter it. And it had that free flow combat system. I was like, this game is fucking sick. Like, I love this game so much. Like, I didn't even explore and do the detective stuff. The combat is what made me want to buy the game. And honestly, he sold me the game by playing a demo. Now, we talked about demos on the channel. That's how he got me. Like, I would have never given that game a chance. But I demoed it. I got my hands on it, and I bought it instantly. 100%. It was a sale. 100%.
Here's a little bit of trivia for you. One of our adjunct professors has actually been consistently in the top 100 on the leaderboards.
Oh, really? On the free
all
form?
Of the Arkham games.
Oh, damn. All
that
right.
All of them.
All right. Yeah, I remember that was a big thing for me at the time. I was like, I want to at least get the trophies. That was like my big thing of the highest combo you can do. And it's like, it's silly video game stuff like that like, even though this game is like serious, it has like a story, and like very Batman-ish, right? It still has those like video game arcade moments where you're like, I want the highest score, which is weird. Like in a Batman game, like I don't know how they did it, but they pulled it off. Like the designers of this game thought about it. It's fantastic. So, yeah.
And you remember all those reviews that came out where it seemed like everybody was saying the same thing, that as you're playing the Arkham games, especially like switching between the combat and the Predator mode where you're like stalking people with the infrared, how everyone universally said that playing these games, you feel like you are Batman. You are in that man's boots.
And Rocksteady, and this is, and honestly, I'll move on after this, but this is why people were so upset with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, because they knew about Rocksteady Games because of this game, It was so good. It had a good impression. If of course you play their first game, you're like, man, I hope these guys make more games, right? And so, that's why people were just upset about it. They were expecting something like this, so they got something else. So, I guess that's a curse if you're kind of typecasted into making a certain kind of game, certain quality, right? And then now people are now gonna have to like they expect no less from you or anything different. To be honest,
You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
that's what happens when you work with WB, I guess. All right. Speaking of hero, man, we love them. Chrono Trigger on the Super Nintendo. And Ace, I was checking your thing yesterday. You said it was the 11th, but it was actually the 22nd within Japan. But it doesn't matter because it's about time, and I love that joke because it's always about time. And I think that was an ad also
That
for the
was an ad.
game. Yeah, I was like, it's like I get it. It's about time. I see. One of the best RPGs. Whoever says otherwise, come fight me, and it's okay. I believe I just hold this game very true close, just because of like the the amount of like replay value on an RPG was just seems crazy back then. And in an era of no social media or YouTube, you had to find these things out yourself, unless you get the guide, unless you go to a EGM or a Game Pro magazine, right? So this game was really about playing it again, and trying to beat it in certain times of events, right? And trying to figure out, oh, will I get a different ending if I do this instead, right? This was the goat for me. So, what about you guys?
There is not much that I could really say that I haven't already, either in the numerous times I've talked about this game or the multiple times that I have played through it on stream from start to finish. And swear to God, every time I hear that ending track to Faraway Times,
Good.
I legitimately get choked up. It never fails. Even the couple of times you accidentally played it here on the show, I was like,
Trigger Ace, just start playing it.
don't do that shit to me, man.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or that you can do that instead. But yeah, we've talked about this before already because it has been featured this week in gaming history, and it will be featured again on the PlayStation release. So,
And actually, let me go back to because there was a link that I posted in the in one of the channels that I'm on, and I will go ahead and share that link here as well because
Jagos, what you're saying, 3 square RPGs in your childhood. Actually, you're pretty close. Mine was Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana. I was not actually a fan of Final Fantasy till later on because it was too hard for me. But Legend of Legaia was my not
Yeah.
Legend of Legaia. What was the other one called? Is it Legend?
Legend of Dragoon.
No, on the Super Nintendo. Something
Oh,
Legends.
oh no, Illusion of Gaia.
Illusion of Gaia. That was the one. Illusion of Gaia. See, I'm old. I'm forgetting. Illusion of
I'll
Gaia.
post that link here in the private chat, and I'll also post it here in the Twitch chat.
Let's go.
Please give that a look when you have the chance.
You know what's funny? Your your icon in this chat spells out big. And I was like, that's Blazing Ace Nelson. Who am I banning? But yeah, that was those are my RPGs at the time. So okay. Some other games that came out on the 22nd, because we don't want Chrono Trigger taking up all the light here. Auto Modelista on the PS2 in 2002. If you like Gran Turismo with a little bit of anime flair in your racing games, that's the game for you. DDR Supernova 2 in the arcade had come out. This was the tail end of the DDR arcade games. Came out in Japan. Also, Final Fantasy 14 Online Reborn came out on the PS3 in 2013 in Japan. Uncharted: The Lost Legacy on the PS4 in 2017. And you have it up here? Sweet. And let's see here. Immortals of Avium. I know that Baloo had played that in chat, told us a little bit about it. So go to him if you have any questions about Immortals. I've not played it yet. It's definitely on my free to play on PSN. And shout out to WrestleQuest. Came out on everything on 2023. If you like Punch Club and old school WWF, not E, like I'm talking 80s and 90s WrestleMania and RPGs, WrestleQuest is where it's at. So check that out when you guys get a chance if you're a fan of wrestling games. And
Actually,
OG RPGs.
that reminds me of a little idea that Chop and I were, tossing back and forth between us as we were,
Oh, so cool.
like I was streaming a while back, but we were talking about, trying to put together a little, game in RPG Maker that was pretty much like WrestleFest meets River City Ransom.
Okay. All right. That sounds great. Check out Breakout in Beatdown City or something like that. That's kind of very similar, I think. I don't know if you've heard of that before. But check that one out. They just Randy Macho Man just like dive bomb that dinosaur. That's crazy. All right, last day of the week here, guys. The 23rd, Beatdown Fists of Vengeance on the PS2 and Xbox in 2005. We're talking about beat 'em ups. Well, Beatdown was like Capcom's. Let me see if we can put a beat 'em up in this modern console at the time in 2005. So Capcom had Beatdown, while Namco had Urban Reign. This was the era of like Deep Impact, Armageddon. Right? Like there's always like a rival to these games. Do you have it up, Nick? Fantastic. I love this. So one could argue this was like the modern day beat 'em up in 2005. Um, I just remember playing this. It just didn't hit the same. It didn't hit like Final Fight, like those arcade beat 'em ups. Maybe I'm just old fashioned. Call me old fashioned, right? Just doesn't feel right. That's all. What about you guys?
I actually hadn't played this.
You haven't played it? I'm surprised. It's a Capcom game. It's a beat 'em up.
Probably because it was on the Xbox, and I didn't have one at the time. I was still.
It's on PS2 also. Also 2005 is a lot.
Yeah, I was still pretty much like neck deep in, gaming on the PS2, and also playing Final Fight Streetwise.
Yeah, Urban Reign was like about games. And I don't know what the story was in this one, but I think this happened after Streetwise. So, Streetwise technically led to, Fists of Vengeance. Beatdown. Pretty good. Also, another great game that came out today was GoldenEye on that team. So, one of the most feared games in my library, Ultima 3 Exodus, also had come out on the Apple IIe and Atari 8-bit and PC in 1983. That was our song for today as well. I just wanted to feature that because it gave me PTSD on the Nintendo version. I did not know how to play it. It was bad. Awesome cover, though. The cover art for that game is fantastic. Devil May Cry came out on the PS2 in 2001. Andre, I know you're in chat. Favorite days. An underrated Marvel game, Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction, came out basically on everything. 2005. Mafia 2 on the PC in 2010. Shout out to Old Country, which just came out not too long ago, which is great. And Deus Ex Human Revolution came out on everything in 2011. KOF 14 also came out in the PS4 in 2016. Another My Hero game, Once Justice, which is like the Naruto version arena fighter of My Hero Academia, came out on Switch and PS4 in 2018. And also the Saints Row reboot had come out in basically 2022. Man, that is a what happened that you guys need to watch for Saints Row. But I know Ace is itching to talk about KOF 14. So.
Yeah, I'm always itching to talk about KOF, but
that and Muso Fighters,
of course,
they're gonna combine it. Muso Fighters.
Oh, don't put that out there in the world.
King of Muso. No, there's that mobile phone game.
King of Muso Fighters.
Actually, yeah, KOF All Star.
Yeah, that's basically Muso
KOF beat 'em up.
Yeah,
but KOF 14 now. A lot of people gave this game shit for its early features.
Looks rough.
Because, let's face it, it was rough. But this game was coming out, I remember, very, very closely following KOF 14 after it was announced. Closely following, each week as more fighters, more teams were being introduced, and seeing, seeing these newer designs for the characters. 2, 3 very notable ones already right there on the screen between Terry, Kyo, and Iori. And just seeing KOF actually make a comeback on modern consoles and actually, start, an official KOF title with 3D models as opposed to 2D sprites. That was, a 3D KOF that wasn't maximum impact. That was already, big enough news on its own. Andre also mentioned it. 50 character roster on launch. And then you actually have like 7 or 8 DLC fighters that were added literally due to fan demand. Because initially when the game was developed, it was just going to be the 50 right out of the box, and that would have been it. But the game brought back certain systems from KOF 13, like the drive system and the drive cancels. So your offense was all if you had your offense on point from KOF 13, then you could pretty much walk into 14 with a little bit of a leg up. But just the fact that this is the beginning of SNK's comeback, and because of how well KOF 14 was received, that right there is what helped lead to Samurai Showdown, which of course led to KOF 15, and now City of the Wolves. This is just in terms of SNK evolving their game design, their visual identity, and just polishing their craft.
Oh yeah, I mean, this looks like they're still trying to find their stride, like their art direction. They really found it in Samurai Showdown.
Oh yeah,
that's their template now for 15 and Garo. I mean, or City of the Wolves. City of the Wolves looks amazing. So they've definitely found it. If KOF 16 were to come out, it's gonna look like City of the Wolves.
And also you'll notice.
I remember you wearing that jacket.
I got that jacket, damn it.
I know you too. I remember you wearing it. The moment I saw it, I was like, "Oh, he's
Now this is like 100%. This game has the Marvel Infinite treatment, where like the game played really well. You got and then but it just didn't look good. Like this is like one of the curses of this game. We always talk about how bad it looked, but we always overshadow how good it played and how many characters we got on launch, right? Same thing with Infinite. Like I feel like we had a pretty decent roster. There were some weird decisions on that, of course, but like it did not look great for the time.
But unlike Marvel Infinite, I don't think this game is actually going to see a community rally behind it to fix the visuals.
Well, we already have 15, buddy. 15's great. And then I'm just looking forward to what SNK can do next. Like they can make a Last Blade next if they want. Or even the underdog World Heroes. Right?
Don't play with my emotions like that.
That's what I'm saying. Ace.
Well, I got the picture.
That's right.
And it's tough because you bring in a beatdown. That year was a really weird year for me personally. I never played beatdown. I remember seeing the cover art, back to your original point, like on the wall. But man, that was like I had dropped out of college. I was couch surfing for a little bit there from playing too much Counter-Strike instead of going to class. But dude, 2005, like that was probably about the time I started realizing there wasn't enough time in the day for me to play all these games. Was really when it started hitting then, even when I was couch surfing, like trying to find a second job, to like move into a place, was just that and then money. Because if you look at 2005, there's a lot of games that like were straight up for me that I would never try beat down. It just would not speak to me when I had things like Republic Commando, Jade Empire, God of War 1, Psychonauts, Kingdom Hearts 2, Shadow of the Colossus, Resident Evil 4, like that. It's harder and harder, right? But it feels like that was the stratification for me. It started then when I realized I spent too much time playing one game and then found myself in a situation where I've got to be a little smarter with my money, a little smarter with my time. And then I can only really go for the games that I was a huge fan of. It just kind of went from back in the day only playing one kind of thing to now experiencing all these different ones. And then then funneling back down to like I can't play them all. And I kind of feel like that again now, 20 years later, 2025, it's like there's not enough time. I don't have enough money to try everything. So I got to pick and choose. I stick with franchises I like, or every once in a while take a chance on something as well. So
That's
beat down, sorry.
that's good. That's good introspection, because I think at the time I was like the game that I was playing the most was Black.
Yeah, yeah.
So like,
And I'll be
that's
honest, I immediately shoot myself in the foot with that, because when I was couch surfing, I was staying with one of my coworkers at GameStop at the time, and his entire household, his girlfriend and like 3 roommates, all played WoW, and I got into WoW because of that, and then that went that time sink and money. So it's like I had that introspection and immediately shot myself in the foot by getting addicted to WoW.
one thing to the other, for sure. All right, guys, that is this week in gaming history. Thanks again.
And I gotta be honest, looking at Beatdown, do you know what else came out in 2005? The original Yakuza game. Like, if I'm going to compare the two and they look that similar, come on.
Maybe that was Capcom's answer to that, right? They were like, they're making a Yakuza game, we're gonna make our own, and it's like, not, because the main character was a gangster, so maybe, I don't know. No one can confirm.
Someone's copying their like homework notes.
We have Yakuza at home.
Right. All right, Nicholas, what you got for us for quick bites? Real quick.
I mean, shout out to GQ for tossing some stuff up here for me. We're going to jump through these, and I'm going to get to a little bit that I added at the end. Some quick bites for this week. Some news to keep you abreast of everything that's happening in the industry. First and foremost, number one is going to be GeForce Now. James talked about it a little bit at the top. They are going supernova with RTX 5080 and 5K cloud streaming. They're going to be adding 5080 class servers, DLSS 4, and support for 5K at 120 FPS, or even 360 FPS at 1080p. Their ultimate tier now includes like the install to play access to like 2,300 plus Steam games and a seamless Discord like trial. That was thanks to the Verge. With that in mind, do you think this can make high end gaming subscription based instead of hardware based? What do you think, Ace?
I mean, just the fact that Nvidia is going that hard on the 50 series, it's definitely going to cause a sea change. That's for sure. Especially just with with the kind of firepower that they've got available with their hardware. I mean, take a look at Phantom Blade Zero. Like, this game is looking insane. So that more developers are going to be taking a look at this, and they're going to be going, okay, what can we do with this?
Just what we need, another subscription, right?
That's how they get you.
If anything, I am out next week, but Jagos, I'll start tossing news back in for quick bites as well. I've been super busy with the baby. I appreciate you tossing stuff in the Discord, which join our Discord as well. Chat with the team as well as the people here in chat, which is great. We love seeing the chat. Try before you buy. Fortnite debuts instant cloud demo via Discord. So NVIDIA, Discord, and Epic are testing out instant cloud demos, starting with Fortnite, so players can jump into a 30-minute trial without download or setup. We're starting to ask, could this revitalize the classic demo era that we've been talking so much about? James, what about you, man? Do you think cloud demos would change how we shop for games, or will players like stick to the videos and reviews that we've been doing for a while now?
Are you asking, or I guess like, a demos in the cloud? Like, is that like a temporary download, or just it's streaming it pretty much, right?
Streaming it, yeah. It's just on the cloud, just the same as you would like what the Xbox has with their cloud gaming and streaming it directly to your device.
I mean, we're already doing it now, like with real games. So why not demos? I think that's more options. I'm always up for more options.
I do love that immediately they decided to be like, oh, you can try Fortnite for free.
Like, yeah, you can't really demo Fortnite.
Let's get you directly into like the biggest cash cow ever. instead of like maybe like some of the demos we were talking before. Maybe a demo for Beatdown would allow me to appreciate it. Uh,
As like I'm trying to be as fair as possible, but like cloud streaming does save like hard drive space because we're just getting inundated with like so much stuff in our hard drive. But I get the pros and cons of cloud gaming.
Perfect. Next up, Monster Hunter Wilds adds really tempered monsters and soulful rewards. So we've been talking about Monster Hunter a lot lately, for good reason. It's just kind of died off. So how are they going to get people back? Well, Capcom is shaking things up with patch 1.021. Painful 9-star tempered bosses are going to be added for vets, glowing stones that transform into powerful random talismans, and weapon tweaks plus quality of life upgrades for underwater combat. So I got to ask the panel here in the chat as well. Do you think this is enough to re-engage all those players that have left, or should more of the core game get buffed?
Well, part of the reason that a lot of the early adopters had left the game was due to the fact that the end game content was sparse at best. Even in Monster Hunter World, once you actually finish the story, there was that sort of end game grind that kept you coming back. Now with the talismans and with the 9-star tempered monsters, this is actually the kind of thing that people were expecting to see on launch. And from what I've seen personally, yeah, a good chunk of the player base has started to come back. I mean, I've started jumping back into it.
It's kind of a crazy story just because Wilds, I mean, I haven't played it. It's not my thing. I stopped after playing Worlds. Like, I played it for a bit. I remember jumping onto it one time when I was watching James play, and I was like, oh, I could maybe get into this, and just getting so frustrated by the loading screens and some of the combat that I just never went back to the series. I can appreciate it from afar, but watching Wilds and seeing, because I remember the first like few weeks to month that game came out, it was setting sales records. We were talking about it on here. It was crazy to see that amount of growth. And now like the bell curve drop off the back end of what's happened to the things you were kind of talking about there. And then that whole thing where they have to now re-engage, they have to try to get as many people back as they can, as a viable product. It's a crazy story. It's crazy because that thing did hit some pretty high peaks for its sales. It was like blowing people away.
And speaking of its viability as a product, there is of course still some of the optimization issues on PC that folks have been really clamoring for Capcom to address. So the question now is just, as Capcom is starting to introduce more of this additional gameplay on the back end, will they be able to keep things running stably? Will they be able to keep the stability of the game at a point where people can still jump back in and actually play it without issue?
Yeah. I guess we'll see. We'll see what time will tell. One of the video bits that James just tossed up there on screen as well is one of the notes from what we saw at Gamescom today. So special collaborations coming their way as well. Some more news on that in a second. But that's pretty cool. They're going to be trying to do what they can to bring people in. We'll see if it's successful at all. More news. We know that the highly anticipated Metal Gear Solid 3 remake is arriving soon. It is coming to us on August 28th on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Expect Unreal Engine 5 visuals, both legacy and modern combat control schemes, plus a new Fox Hunt multiplayer mode to mix stealth with hide-and-seek action. So the question now on this one is, will this faithful remake satisfy longtime fans, or is nostalgia still not enough? I will say it looks impressive, everything we've been seeing for this leading up to it. Snake Eater is one of those ones that kind of stands out to me throughout the series of just like something really, really cool. I love the like theme song for it as well, the like James Bond kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of thing as well. Like, I didn't play a lot of this game, but what I've seen of this remake is like give me hope for some like really solid updates to some of those games.
Solid.
Ah. Do you think it'll be enough?
I think so. I think we haven't had a good Metal Gear game in a while, and I'm actually quite shocked that Konami put this much effort and resources into a game, because usually they they half-ass it most of the time because they love pachinko. So I'm just like excited like in the future, like if they're gonna put this much love in their series again.
I mean, obviously, the
Happy.
pachinko machine for this, when the news broke of Metal Gear Solid 3 having a pachinko machine and that the like HD graphics look so goddamn amazing, it's like,
Yeah.
why won't we get our remake? And we're getting a remake. If this does well, like I'm assuming it will because this looks pretty faithful. A friend of mine who's really into the Metal Gear series cannot wait for Delta. Do you think they'll do this kind of treatment a la Resident Evil, where they go through the rest of the series? Maybe we'll get Solids. We'll get MGS2. Maybe we'll get Twin Snakes.
Mm. Um, I mean, I would love Twin Snakes. I think that's a weird one for them to do. If anything, we'll get Peace Walker next. That's usually like I feel like that's what's next in line.
Just go chronological, you think?
Well, okay, like my personal taste is actually Sons of Liberty and Solid, the OG Solid, right? 3, I kind of fell off on 3. Like I don't like the jungle motif. That's just me, a personal taste. But I can see how 3 was like the marvel of all of them. They were like highest peak and like maxing out the hardware, right? So this is appropriate that they're kind of launching back to it because the PS2 they were squeezing out everything on the PS2 when they originally.
Yeah, makes sense to me. All right, last little bit of news before we go into the Gamescom stuff. Xbox, it gets the saga. Black Myth Wukong finally lands on Xbox. We've been waiting for this one for a while. It's done amazingly worldwide, and it was a timed exclusive. So now we're going to see it go to those Xbox consoles. A lot of smoke's been kind of thrown around lately about how little Xbox consoles have been sold this generation, but that's still an entire console group that has not touched this game at all yet. So after hyping fans with trailers, it's finally launching this week, following its earlier releases on PlayStation and PC. Based on classic Chinese myth and known for punishing Souls-like combat, this port brings mythic grinding to Microsoft's platforms. And just in time, too, because that is going to lead us into what was announced during Opening Night Live at Gamescom that happened today. So, speaking of Opening Night Live, the first salvo of the conference had some gaming stuff straight from the mouth of Jeff Keighley. You want highlights? We got them. We're just going to run through some quick ones really quick. I definitely recommend checking out any of your favorite news sites to see every little bit of detail that dropped, but there's some really cool stuff that landed. I know that Andre was in chat earlier, kind of stating what I saw in a lot of the comments, which there wasn't a lot of people like super impressed with what we saw there. But again, this is the last of the conferences in terms of getting news and stuff until we get into the tail end of the year and we get, the video game awards. So while there is no firm release date, we actually kicked off. We got to see Jeff kick it off right away. Our buddy Jeff officially declared that Hollow Knight Silksong will be out this year. New gameplay was shown, and a more in-depth presentation with Team Cherry is coming this Thursday. So stay tuned for that. You're definitely going to want to check that out. The game that has been oft talked about and wished for will be releasing soon. Hold on to your butts. As you see in the trailer here, Lords of Fallen 2 had a world premiere trailer and an expected 2026 launch. Looks pretty cool. Sekiro is getting a Crunchyroll exclusive anime adaptation, pairing into existence in 2026. It actually looks pretty legit too. Definitely recommend checking that out. Yeah. Ace, because we were kind of talking about it before, and with Batman and Arkham, Lego Batman Legacy of Dark Knight did premiere tonight and looks way more Arkham inspired than the other releases in this series. So a little bit of detective mode, a little bit of that combat mixed in. So it looks like people are getting pretty hyped for it. They're like, oh, another Lego game, but it's like, oh no, it's like this place like Arkham. Yeah, yeah. So
that's just how bad they're missing Arkham games. That's all it is.
Let's be honest.
Look at that.
Let's be honest. Suicide Squad kind of killed it for a lot of people, and folks were pretty lukewarm on Gotham Knights too. So seeing a more return to form, but in Lego form.
Yeah. Brick by brick, you build it up. I'm excited for it. Honestly, it's kind of cool. I remember first when I was working for one of my previous gigs, we got to talk to devs, just kind of like they'll meet up with their distributor partners and they'll like show some sizzle reel stuff and talk about what's coming. They showed us the Skywalker saga before it came out, and it was like it was such a departure just to see like third person like hover based shooting mechanics in a Lego game and like open world like kind of setups. It was just a different thing. It was like, oh, why haven't they done this before? It makes perfect sense. This has that.
They recreated the scene from the Batman.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like now they're seeing this, and it's like, oh, why haven't they done this before?
Oh, that is dope.
Told you, man, they'll get you.
Yes!
So some people could be saying like there wasn't a lot to see, but there was some fun stuff. Just kind of running with the train a little bit more. Warhammer 40k Dawn of War 4 is bringing RTS goodness in 2026 as well. As you saw earlier, Monster Hunter Wilds and Final Fantasy 14 are having a collab event with late September for Monster Hunter to see the content, and then October launch for Final Fantasy 14's content. So you'll see some different crossover stuff. I think like the Magic is moving over as well just for this like collab event. There's some details that'll be coming, but looks pretty cool. Onimusha Way of the Sword did get a new excellent trailer. Highly recommend that as well. This game is getting even more hype for me. I mean, there's a lot of hype when you talked about Onimusha's coming back. Yeah, this is kind of, it's creepy, it's a little bit goofy in some points. Like I'm really getting interested in this title, and honestly, this trailer didn't stop any of the hype train for me. So I'm excited. I can't wait to play it, and I hope that a lot of people give it a chance, because this is a big franchise that's kind of coming back. We'll see if this ends up, getting some legs and going beyond. See what happens. But yeah, creepy and kooky, Jagos. You are correct. A little Addams Family vibe. Also, Fallout Season 2 did have a teaser trailer drop, so if you're a fan of that, we got to see more information. The developer behind Disco Elysium dropped their premiere of their new upcoming CRPG, Zero Parades. So that one looks pretty interesting too. Ninja Gaiden 4 did show off a blood-soaked premiere trailer. That arrives October 21st. So we got a little bit of... Thanks for tossing it up, James. I know I'm jumping quick. I didn't want to take too much time. I definitely recommend, again, hop on there, check out some of these trailers if you're a fan of these series. But yeah, got to talk a little bit more about the two clans that show up in it. Platinum is showing off everything they can. I love this dude with the one arm and the big like shoulder protector too. It's really cool character design. But a lot of the combat you'll recognize. We'll see how well it does. Are you guys hyped at all for this one?
I am, because it's a Platinum game, and I love Platinum fighting games, or just games in general. But I was gonna say, what would really set this game off for me is if somehow it either Raiden shows up in this game, because it's on flavor, or I'll accept Jetstream Sam if he shows up in this game. I would love that. Just like maybe an optional fight, like a really hard optional fight. That would be so sick if he showed up.
Hey, that's something you can definitely put into the world, and hopefully it will come true. We did get a new trailer for Silent Hill F as well. We got a good look at its new grim and disturbing gameplay. That launches September 25th. Every time I see this, it's getting creepier and creepier. Really nails the vibe.
I'm good on this game.
Especially after we've been talking so much recently about PT and Silent Hills and kind of like where that series has gone. Like, this looks really good and really creepy. Ace, you a fan of the Silent Hill games at all?
Not much, but I follow them where I can, where the conversation comes up. And I've been keeping an eye on some of the stuff here for Silent Hill F a little bit.
Yeah, I never really followed this series like super closely, but I will admit like these trailers look super interesting to me. Like they've really nailed the vibe of it and the atmosphere of it. So I'm pulled in by that, even if like horror games are not my thing. Like this just looks intense. It looks like really kind of gripping, and it makes me want to give it a shot. Speaking of some trailers, just a quick little note. You don't have to pull this one up, and I talked about it earlier. World of Warcraft did drop their new opening cinematic for their next expansion. Midnight. Did you like it? All right. It seemed to like split people in chats. I wasn't 100% if it was something worth diving in on. I mean, keep in mind, WoW's 20-year-old by this point. It is.
I think I know why I liked it, because I don't play WoW.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it helps that Blizzard makes excellent cinematics, and that's probably why. Because I know that some comments were just like, "Hey, if I played WoW, this seems interesting." right?
Yeah.
But then a lot of WoW players are like, "Oh, I'm done with it." Really, a lot of hate. Who knows? We'll see what it does. But
I
again,
only
they
have
make
one
excellent
question though.
trailers.
Is the person in the void, is that Trironda?
No,
Okay, that's good.
I
That's all I
don't
was wondering.
believe so.
That's all I was wondering. I was like, what happened there?
I haven't played it in quite a while. I will say that this is supposed to be the second of 3 parts in their
Oh,
Soul Saga kind of like thing. So that interested me. I didn't end up picking up the recent expansion. It's just I don't have time and
yeah.
money for it anymore, right? But I will admit the
Cool.
fact that they're trying to tie together another string of story contents together, like expansion contents together. Like this is going to be this saga. When we had the original run of WoW, that I went back for a classic with Vanilla, BC, and Lich King, right? That felt like a story thread you kind of followed through from Warcraft 3 into World of Warcraft through to Lich King, and that felt like an endpoint for a lot of people. Not just because it's like subscriptions and everything. We can talk ad nauseum for that, but it felt like with this setup, their idea was like, oh, we're going to get people back in, and over multiple expansions, we're going to tell this more expansive story. Like, in theory, great. I just didn't get into it, and I don't know where subscriptions are nowadays. They stopped kind of reporting for it a while ago, so we'll see if this can pull anyone back. Ghost of Yotei premiered a new trailer. We also found out it will get a co-op expansion in 2026. The game is out on October 2nd, and I can't wait for it. Ace, we talked a little bit about this before. Did you play Tsushima?
I've got Tsushima. I just haven't finished it.
Finish it, my guy.
I did.
They've
I
sold
did
it to me.
sit down, I sat down and started playing it a while back, and probably stopped because there were other games that came out. But when I played of it, I really enjoyed. So I might go back and finish it.
I do love how much Sucker Punch really leans into like certain cultural touchstones with it too. Like with the original Tsushima, they had the Akira Kurosawa mode, right?
Yeah, the black and white
With
mode.
the
Yeah,
black and white, like classic Kurosawa cinema, like really, really cool. Like I love that, and the fact that this has a like Samurai Champloo inspired Watanabe mode, like I love that. It's kind of a cool little nod to some of the stuff that kind of surrounds it in our like cultural zeitgeist around this kind of
It's funny.
stuff.
I
What's that?
just imagine like you taking down all these guys, and all of a sudden it goes
Yeah, that makes sense.
like it's so like out of flavor, but it's.
And we laugh, but that might be kind of fire. I don't know yet.
I know. I'm excited. Don't get me. I've already pre-ordered.
Look, there's a reason I get hyped after all these years hearing like the announcer from a real tournament announce kills and stuff. Like it's just hype. It's just cool.
I gotta find something. Just put them on.
You got to like that, or like some of the like Halo announcer stuff too. Like during the multiplayer modes, I love it. We did, speaking of creepy games, Resident Evil Requiem did drop a new narrative trailer, and it looks fantastic. It's silky smooth transitions were really apparent while we were watching it too, or while I was watching it. And that game will arrive February 27th, so not too much longer before this game comes out. But a lot of people have been waiting for this, and like I said, just watching some of the transitions and hearing the trailer as it's going through, they know what they're doing. It's a tight run ship over there with these titles lately.
Capcom is on fire. They're like in their golden age, right? It's crazy how like they're just popping out these bangers, like
banger after banger after banger.
It's nuts.
Yeah, absolutely. Plenty of other content happened. Again, definitely check out from your favorite sites or hop on our Discord. We'll be talking about it, I'm sure. I mean, there's trailers from Project Spectrum, Cult of the Lamb, Chronos New Dawn, John Carpenter's Toxic Commando, and a lot more. I don't mean to shortchange it. James, wasn't there one you were calling out earlier as well? I thought there was something you were talking about, like, oh, I can't wait for this. It was from this. Anyway, I guess not.
I don't remember.
There was that He-Man beat 'em up that was announced.
There you go. It was the He-Man beat him up.
Oh. And it looks like what they were doing with that. Just from the trailer that I saw, it looks like they're going the Golden Axe route with the game.
Is this the new Left 4 Dead? This looks sick.
It looks pretty cool, and that's why I called it out, especially as a fan of like watching John Carpenter movies. It's definitely got his vibe to it too.
All right. I
No,
clicked on
Lucy.
next.
Lucy jumped in. Anyway, however, there was a one more thing that was a surprise. As we mentioned it before, starting off this little bit of news, the team at Game Science, the minds behind Wukong, announced Black Myth Zhang Kui, which is a new protagonist and a follow up to the series. So it's the next Black Myth game. It's
Wow,
not an
already?
expansion.
My
It's a
goodness.
full new game with a new protagonist.
Oh.
So that's pretty crazy. I know that there was a lot of like discussion leading up to Gamescom about like leaks and rumors and stuff, and people were kind of saying, "Oh, there's got to be a Black Myth DLC potentially hitting." No, it's a full on new
Oh,
title
he's gonna give you
already.
another game. Love
So
it.
Xbox, you're finally getting Wukong at the same time. They've just started production on the sequel, so this is the perfect time to try to jump in and check it out. Well, hey, that's what I have for the news. Thank you so much again for hopping in, everyone, and giving some feedback as well. But that's what I got, man. Gamescom is kicked off. We'll see what other kind of stuff comes up in the next couple weeks. Speaking of, September's packed with games. Don't sleep on that. There's more than we thought. Like there's a lot more happening than I remember.
I love it!
Shout out to Helldivers for having our brothers at the ODST join the fight for Super Earth. So
So we might have to like do a stream where we play that together because people have been like
you know what's
clamoring
funny?
about it. I love it.
If you play ODST, I will load up my Killzone character because I have my Killzone. I have the Killzone skins on my. Yeah, no, I'm excited.
Jagos, you didn't. What is that? yes. Let's add a.
I gotta pull up the reveal to this. It was so good. I was just like, "This is this a real trailer?" Because
they know what they're doing. The team there they're very funny writers on staff there.
I just forgot they're Bungie, right? So I'm like,
I will put the because there was discussion about it. I took a picture of the ODST content that's coming as well, and as always, it's just like their other pieces where it's good forever. It'll be in the game forever, so you can unlock it anytime. You just get the medals and you can just buy it, which is great. But yeah, I'll throw it on the Discord as well. But I'm excited. I've people like Jagos is saying there, like the fact that Halo never took ODST and like the Helldivers 2 direction is sad.
I know it's finally like they're finally getting their their colors right or whatever you want to call it. It's amazing. I love it. All right, Ace, we'll pull up the table because you're today. What you got for us?
Everybody gather around, pull up a seat, because
I changed his caption.
it's time for another session of the round table. Now, I have been gifted the honor of leading this segment for a second week in a row now. And the topic that I wanted to bring up for tonight is, it's something that we've spoken on, in bits and pieces before as we discuss other games. Hell, I discussed it a little bit as we were talking about KOF 14. But here's the thing. Video game characters aren't just pixels or polygons. They're legends. I mean, everything from Mario's signature mustache to Kratos' unyielding rage. There's some characters that just transcend their games and become cultural icons. The big question we got to ask ourselves, though, is why? And I figured tonight would be a very good time to break down the elements that make a video game character unforgettable. I mean, as a quick aside, kind of dovetailing back into the Gamescom topic, one of the other games that was announced, much to my eternal bewilderment, Bubsy. In the back of my mind, I was asking myself, how the heck did we wind up with a Bubsy sequel in 2025?
Are you really surprised though? Because I feel like I saw a Gex not that long ago get remade, and I also saw Arrow the Acrobat.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I thought back to the announcements for Gex, and Arrow the Acrobat, and Tomba.
Tomba, that's right.
And, it really just reminded me, these characters, believe it or not, are iconic, especially for the eras that they came out in. Nintendo 64, PS1, Sega Saturn era, that was like if the early 90s with the 16-bit era with Sonic and Mario started, the console wars, competition between platforms. Jumping forward into the 64-bit and the CD-ROM era games introduced more mascot titles. So you had characters like Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, Jack and Daxter, Quake, Lara Croft. Lara Croft, the first video game character to feature on a straight up magazine. Like we're talking, Lara Croft on the cover of Playboy.
Yep, it's a real thing. Let's be real. Like teenage boys during that time, yeah, they were thinking about Lara Croft, even though she was just pixels and polygons.
Right. But taking a look at what makes characters iconic, one of the first things that you think about is their design, their visual identity, right? That look that just boom, it's instant, like it immediately triggers memories. And part of their, one of the, and this is something that is actually discussed, at a high design level when it comes to game design in general. If you're going to be designing a character, one of the key markers to how iconic a character is if they have a strong silhouette. Like if you take away all of the detailed design elements, and if you just have their outline, you have their shadow plastered on like a paper bag or something, will that character immediately come to mind?
It's like guess that Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Yeah, who's that?
Yeah.
Exactly. Who's that Pokemon? That is
Diglett.
That is game design and character design disguised as a commercial sticker. But let's say you got a pudgy little character with a hat, and that's all you see of their shadow. What's one of the first things you think of?
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I
was looking for like.
I feel like there's a lot of those, but the first one comes to Mario, of course.
Exactly. First thing that comes to mind is Mario. Why? Because that strong silhouette. You got the kind of shortish, roundish character. You kind of see the shoes, you kind of see the hands, but it's the distinct shape of the hat on top of everything, plus probably like a little bit of a mustache poking out the outline that will just immediately clue you in, right? Or, again, another character with a really good, strong silhouette. Oh, well, thank you. You you just put that right up there. Huh. Let me see how many of these I can rattle off. Starting from the top left, we've got Bulbasaur, Sub-Zero.
And it's not Scorpion. Or Reptile, or Ermac.
That's a good point.
Which Shoto is it?
Bulbasaur, Mortal Kombat Ninja.
There you go.
Third one I can't get right offhand. Let's see. The fourth is Kirby.
GLaDOS.
Pac-Man.
Who's the third one?
GLaDOS.
Oh, GLaDOS. Yeah.
Oh,
Portal 2.
good get. So yeah, after that you got Kirby, you got Pac-Man.
Is that a Zelda character? Next to Kratos, or is that a Pokemon?
Ooh, that's a tough one for me to pick up on. But yeah, that's Kratos at the end, and then next row you got Donkey Kong, you got Samus, you got the Fallout Boy, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Pikachu, Big Daddy,
Fallout Boy. Let's go.
Thanks for the memories.
Big Daddy.
Right, you got Big Daddy, you got the Pac-Man Coast. Below the Ghost, you got Sonic, and then moving over to the left, you've got Pyramid Head. There's Lara Croft. You got Toad, Yoshi, Bison, Link.
One of the
Ezio Auditore di
could be
Firenze.
anybody. You don't know. That could be Altair with a belt. All right.
No, it's Ezio Auditore di
All
Firenze.
right. You don't know that. Come on.
Below
I
the
do. He
assassin-
had the little half cape.
Below the assassin, you got Duke Nukem. Next to him is Bowser. Then you got Charmander, Cloud Strife, Mario, Sackboy, and Ryu.
Duke Nukem. Let's go.
And the fact that I can rattle them off so quickly is, between the three of us, we were able to get them all in rapid succession because of their strong silhouettes. I mean, you could take someone outside the gaming hobby. You could take a normie, have them look at this. They'll at the very least be able to point out Pikachu, Sonic, Ryu, Cloud, maybe Donkey Kong, definitely Pac-Man.
I'm just realizing, like, I'm spending all this time with my daughter trying to do the high contrast stuff for her learning, right? I should just start getting her to recognize video game character silhouettes.
Yeah,
There you go.
but part of what makes a strong silhouette, though, is just simple shapes that catch the eye. And I feel like that's, that is a deliberate choice.
That's a choice.
It's a deliberate choice. Colors, shapes, and accessories that just kind of stick in the memory. And it raises the question, which we were able to answer pretty much right off the bat, is whether or not characters like Samus or Sonic work because they're instantly recognizable, even in shadow. Simple answer is yes.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah, that makes sense.
there were other characters that we mentioned right off the bat with strong silhouettes that weren't on that sheet, like Master Chief.
Yeah. And kind of like what you were talking about right now with like a visual identity. That was one of the reasons that was a huge knock against Concord. Like the lack of visual identity with like the characters. It just seemed bland compared to what you got with like distinct character design in something like Overwatch. It's not that they were just like badly designed, I guess I'd say. I don't know what I'm really getting at. Just more so like the visual design of it didn't pop or wasn't as recognizable as like what Overwatch had. That's why there was such a contrast there.
I mean, I'm gonna put my 2 cents in it. Say just like beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Design is what we like as far as the majority of people, not the minority of people. What majority of people are gonna like the most amount. It's already set in stone, but it's also designed in a specific way, right? Like, for example, I like Sephiroth's look. I also like Dante's look, right? So, what do they have in similarities? White hair? Yeah, probably. I like the white hair in my character protagonists, right? So, it's like we're just built into like certain things, and to kind of go away from that and force to like go different. Of course, you're gonna get some kind of pushback on it, but like some people like the certain designs for characters that are well loved. I'm like, that's okay. It's kind of generic. So you're not gonna get 100% on it. Take this conversation.
A perfect example is Wind Waker.
I think the character design of Wind Waker is awesome. See,
But I mean, just that sort of shift from the design that people had gotten accustomed to for Link and just the world of Hyrule in general. Once Wind Waker hit the scene, it threw a lot of people off, and there was
sure
tremendous pushback.
And then we got the awesome Link with Twilight Princess. Yeah,
Right.
that was really cool.
But it was just so different, and what immediately caught people off guard was the look, the visual identity of the game compared to the previous.
Yeah, I agree with that. Think about Mario but give him realistic features. That would be nightmare fuel, in my opinion. Right? Like he would not look good as a realistic character. Like if you gave him the art direction of like God of War,
Oh
but
yeah,
Mario, it's like no, it's not gonna look good. He looks good as a cartoon. He looks good as even Paper Mario, Super Mario World RPG, right? In comparison to like Odyssey and he looked good as a cartoon, but not as realistic.
and and even with like Super Mario Odyssey and heck, even like the later Smash Brothers games, where there's more detail put into the
Mhm.
character model, the overall design was still maintained.
Yeah. Here, the way I see it, if you take Mario's mustache out, is he still Mario? That's crazy, right? Because we've seen Dr. Mario, we've seen other Marios in suits, but honestly, you take that mustache off, he just loses his personality.
Right.
It's it's funny too because what resonates with different people and what's recognizable, kind of what James was talking about as well, like Beauties in the Eye, the beholder. On the share screen, just us talking about this. BAFTA did a voting recently on iconic video game characters, and their results on this list have some surprises, as well as like some pretty like iconic characters are not even on here. And this is just, of course, like the top 20 and the people at BAFTA that voted on it. But it's interesting to see what their choices were in the end. I don't know if you want to pull it up on the screen, but there's a few on here that maybe are a little surprising.
Lara
number
Croft and
three,
Mario up there, not
number
surprising.
three being Agent
Agent
47.
47?
Yeah,
Where did they take the survey?
according to BAFTA, I don't know, but like I chat, feel free to go in on this.
Bro,
It's like
you're
I
people,
feel
saying
a swell of
you're
pride over
saying
this.
Agent 47 is more popular than Pac-Man? No way. That's crazy.
it just goes to show like who's the person that did this? How old were they?
Yeah.
Like
How old?
there's some choices in here.
Like
Like
what was the question? Like most iconic character? Like what was it has to be specific.
talk to BAFTA about it.
I'm
But
googling them right
the
now.
fact that we got multiple, like we got Shadowheart and a Starhander from Baldur's Gate 3 in here. They threw in Pikachu, cool. Steve from Minecraft. We did get Cloud Strife. We did get Kazuma Kiryu, good. Nathan Drake, Master Chief, that kind of thing. But it's just like no Gordon Freeman, no Doom Guy, no Mega Man, no Ryu, like no Samus. Like it's crazy. Some people, yeah. So again, recency bias, like you said, Andre.
Definitely
But
reasons. Nice.
the comments that are in that thread are so good that people just be like, "This is trash."
But to kind of follow up on this though, uh, I can see the recency bias in that list, but then there's also kind of pulling on to kind of the next point as far as discussion itself. You know, personality and relatability of characters. Now, you've got your simple characters. Your simple hero rescue the princess characters like Mario, just regular plumber from Brooklyn gets sucked into another world, has to go rescue the
Forget
princess.
he's a New Yorker.
But over the course of the games, you get to see more of that sort of cheerful persona actually being actually being expanded on, and then you start getting voice acting or like little voice clips from Charles Martinet starting with Super Mario 64. But then you've got characters with personalities that are established from the start because they're a part of the story. Case in point, certain iconic characters like what I mentioned earlier, one being Terry Bogard. Now, Terry, like his look in general, is definitely that sort of late '80s, early '90s stereotypical American action hero that the developers of the original Fatal Fury had, that they had in mind. So, it was the jeans, the t-shirt, the vibrant colors on the jacket, and the trucker hat. That was kind of their start. But as the games progressed and they took that sort of wandering martial artist stereotype and flipped it on its head a little bit, because since Terry is supposed to be that sort of quintessential American hero, what's going to set him apart from the more, the more stoic and introspective, the more samurai type character like Ryu? And it's his personality. It's that innate charisma that he could step into any setting and basically light up the room. I mean, you throw Terry into Smash Brothers. You saw the reaction off of that. And even in other fighting games, when Terry shows up in, like, say, Street Fighter, there's that sort of, there's that energy that he has.
Yeah, this one's pretty good.
So I mean, you've got characters, with their quirks, like their charisma, like Terry, and you've got characters with quirks, with flaws, with humanity. I mean, Lara Croft is another great example, because she's not just an explorer. She is tenacious. She is resilient. Like, a lot of the stuff that you see Lara Croft go through in the Tomb Raider franchise, from the classic PS1 games all the way up through the new stuff, a lot of that stuff you see her go through, you would be forgiven if you wondered whether or not Indiana Jones could deal with the same struggles, could deal with the same challenges. They have their ways of going about it, but that tenacity and that resilience is more of a Lara Croft signature, as opposed to the sharper, more honed intelligence. The university level book smart intelligence of Indiana Jones. But I mean, it could also be just the backstories behind the characters as well that make them so iconic. I mean, there's great example, Sephiroth. You can sum it up as extreme mommy issues.
I mean, that's it. Got
Like, if
him.
mommy issues was a person, Sephiroth is his name.
Just a little baby.
But you go with that, and you also see the character himself. That sort of tall, slender but athletic. He's got the trench coat, the long silver hair, the massively outsized sword that this guy seems to be able to just wield with no trouble whatsoever. And you wonder how he got that way.
I have a funny story about Sephiroth. So I was in 11th grade. Is that junior year. And I was sitting in world literature class, and I was reading an EGM. Yeah, kids, EGM in class. That's me. I'm old. And this cheerleader to my left, her name was Linda, and I remember her name. And he's like, "What are you reading?" I was like, "Oh, it's just a video game." Right. And she looks over and she's like, "Oh, okay. That guy's hot." And I was like, "Sephiroth?" And she's like, "Yeah, he's hot." That is honestly a true story. I was literally reading, minding my business. She wasn't bullying me. She just like, that guy right there, the long hair, he's hot. And I was like, "Oh, you're a gamer. You're a nerd inside." Okay, that's it. Story over. That was it.
But I mean, let's think about it though. Like, some characters it's their personality. Some characters it's what they can go through. Some characters it's literally just their charm alone, right? Kirby is forever best boy.
Dante's quips.
But I mean, like, what are some what are some examples that you guys can think of right off the bat that just characters that are iconic because of their their stories, their personalities, what they got.
Oh, Nick, you got one straight up, real quick?
I mean, there's a lot that comes to mind. I grew up, at least this is just for me. It's what resonated with me. I grew up watching a lot of Indiana Jones movies with my dad when I was younger, and I read a bunch of books by a author called Clive Cussler, and he had a character that was kind of like this very smart Numa scientist that is also a little Indiana Jones-ish kind of thing. Like would collect cars, would travel around the world, get into danger, that kind of thing. So I always liked this adventure, quippy, kind of like smart ass, kind of down to earth person. So Nathan Drake really is one that kind of resonated with me really, really quickly because of his personality. Just kind of feels like a little bit of an everyman, just trying to fake it till you make it, like in a lot of his adventures. And the writing and the voice acting for it was so good. That's the reason I kept going back to that series and why I love the series so much. And now how I wish a new Uncharted would come along after playing 4 again recently. So that's one that stood out to me, but it was because of the writing, because of the character, because of the voice acting was just so realistic and well done and steeped in the world that it felt real, and that character stood out to me. But there's plenty of like the visual design stuff, like you said. The moment I got to see Master Chief for the first time with his gravelly voice, like Steve Downes' work with that, like that voice is iconic for me whenever I hear it. That's why we get hyped when we saw like just Master Chief's helmet before they announced Infinite,
Mhm.
right? Or we saw the Halo ring, like partial ring when the Marines were walking past it in that original teaser trailer for Infinite, and people are like, fucking Halo. It's that kind of stuff resonates with me, like the art direction when it comes to that series.
Cool. I was gonna say specifically something that comes to mind is I like my silent characters. Like Chrono is a big one for me, right? The characters just doesn't the protagonists that don't speak in the game, and like the world around them speaks for the character
Yeah,
because you speak with your action, right? And I think it's kind of funny because I think I was actually just talking about this with my friend. Like one of my love languages is acts of service, right? So the fact that that's important to me, and that one of my favorite characters is the silent protagonist, which means they let their actions do their talking. So it kind of matches my personality as well. But specifically not Chrono, but the one that I was like, when is this guy gonna talk? Because I want to hear his voice because I've been looking for it is Gordon Freeman.
yeah,
So that's a big one because like I have his face. He has a look. Also, not too many main characters wear sunglasses or glasses in general, right? With a goatee. Like not that's not a very common design. Also, scientist never you never get a scientist as a main character. Also, cool suit. It's like all these like combinations of things. I'm like, I just want to hear your voice. What do you sound like? You sound gruff, or you sound high pitch. Are you like a nerdy voice, or is it a manly voice? You know,
yeah.
it's like its own enigma.
That is one of my favorite game series of all time,
Yeah.
easily, for exactly what you said. The world speaks for the character,
Mm.
or for a character that can't speak for all intents and purposes. The interaction of all the people around him, even in the first game, you get a vibe of who Gordon Freeman was in his day-to-day job, like just going through the menial
Yeah.
tasks and
Yep.
the NPCs walking around, like creating that world. That's one of the reasons that game has been so good and why it felt so like enveloping when you first got in it. Like the world just felt like it was completely immersing. It was because of little storytelling things like that. So that's why I love 2 and why I'm so upset that we haven't gotten 3 or a continuation of the story, because the cliffhanger at the end of episode 2, it's just like I felt like there was so much more to the story that I had just been involved with for so long. You finally got, especially with Half-Life 2, way more in-depth storytelling in terms of like the characters around him and family and emotions. Like it was really building up to something, and then you get this like not quite father figure, but essentially father figure like ripped out of your life right in front of you, and it's like credits.
Yeah, and you know, on the topic of the the iconic silent protagonist, another excellent example, which also kind of dovetails into this next point. Samus.
Did she talk in Other M?
In Other M, she did.
Okay, I think that ruined it for a
Well,
lot
in
of
Other
people.
M, she talked, and she was voiced
Yeah,
by Commander Shepard.
nice. Femshep.
Yep. But yeah, it also kind of ties into when I also think of Samus as a great silent protagonist. A character where their actions and the setting around them speak for them. It also brings to mind iconic gameplay behind the characters. Because I mean, other than Sonic the Hedgehog, what other characters can you think of that curl up into a wall and then can proceed to do damage? Like you see, whoop, streak down into a wall, you see the little bombs blinking, and it's like, oh, we're about to uncover some stuff, and then start blasting
Also,
through the floor.
Conveniently modeled by Michael, inspired by Michael Jackson. So pretty cool, in my opinion. Very cool.
But yeah, definitely another thing that really makes characters iconic is just the context of the game that they're in, how they play. You get so used to you get so used to Stinger, High Time, and Round Trip, and Air Hike. I mentioned those moves. People that play the games will immediately think Dante, or Spin Dash, Shine Spark, Hook Shot,
Tiger Drop.
Spinning Pile Driver. Need I say anything?
You do.
But again, it's that exactly. It's the style where the character is expressed. The character style is expressed through the game, and that's part of the reason why I've even though Terry is like one of my all-time favorite fighting game characters, I take to grapplers because they're just so interesting.
Ace likes hugs.
Right. Even in the midst of a game where you've got people that can kick it 100 miles per hour or fly through the air like a freaking jet plane. At some point, you just see big dude with massive hands, and you're like, don't let him touch you.
That's like Rasputin in World Heroes.
Oh, God, don't let him touch you.
Giant hands.
And that's one of the things that makes a character like Hagar iconic in Final Fight.
Okay.
He's not the brawler, he's not the martial artist, he's not the ninja, he's just big dude in pants and suspenders that grabs people and hurts people badly.
I mean, come on. He's also a politician, a father. Come on, don't underplay Michael Hagar.
Well, again, this is gameplay.
Oh, okay. My bad.
This is from a gameplay standpoint, but if you go back to personality and visual design, Hagar checks the boxes.
Yeah. Feel you on that. So, I heard that you resonate really well with Nathan Drake, Nick, because of his common man doing amazing things, right?
Yeah, it's one of the reasons. It was a character archetype that I liked originally, but it was brought to life so well and relatably. Like kind of what Ace was talking about earlier, like relatability is huge for me. And especially when it comes to nuanced characters. When you get into something like Aloy, for example, from Horizon, that's one of the reasons I liked it so much is she's finding out the world the same time as you, and she has that naivete about that world that she's in.
Yeah.
At the same time, you've got the same naivety as a player. You have no idea what's happening. You're just trying to fill in the blanks. So I just felt that was written so well too in that way. But yeah, Nathan Drake resonated with me. Why? Did you have a follow up to that?
Oh yeah, actually, I actually wanted to hear Ace. Do you have a specific, Terry, right? So you said. So what is it about specifically Terry? Because you said, from what I heard, you love his '80s design protagonist look. But
Yeah,
is it
whose jacket do you own right now?
All of theirs,
right?
SPO's and Terry's.
But even in the context of Fatal Fury, even in the context of that initial revenge story, you know, Terry is still, you know, much like Gordon Freeman in Half Life, you know, much like Kiryu in the Yakuza games. In
Name
that
drop.
context, he is the everyday dude. I mean, hell, even in Yakuza 5, Kiryu was working as a cabbie. Like, how blue collar and everyday can it get?
It's true.
So that is I didn't want to bring it out because obviously I'm a huge fan of the series, but that is something where it was kind of a strange experience. I mean, I've talked to Ad nauseam before, and you guys know that game series has this like deep melodramatic story interchanged with crazy zany over the top experiences within the game and the characters and what they do. It was really cool / strange in a sense to go and after so many mainline games of getting this like interchange and getting to know the characters, you feel like you know them really well, and then they drop Yakuza 0 on you and you get this like entire early story about these characters and their motivations and where they came from that was way more nuanced than you'd expected. Like you started to learn a lot more about Majima and like potential love interest and what screwed him up in his life, kind of thing. So it's like you thought you had a beat on this character that you'd learned so much about him through these series of games, and then this new one drops that's a prequel that blended so well into it. You've now got another lens that explains what that character was doing in so many other titles up to that point. It almost changes your lens on them a little bit, but it gave them more nuance, and I really, really appreciate it. That's one of the reasons I love Zero so much. Is you get so much more character motivation for the entire series just from that game. On top of it just being a super fun game with great mini games.
Cool. The point that I was trying to make is character design. Yeah, character design is very impactful on being able to, I don't know, relate or choose the character. Like, I'm a big fighting game fan, right? We have Smash Brothers up here, so man, lots of characters. Probably choose like your iconic one and that's one you want to represent and play. This one in general, my story with this one is that I was actually, and I tell this with my chat all the time when I play Tekken, is that I actually was not a fan of Jin until Tekken 4, right? And in Tekken 3, his debut, I thought he was just like a boring Kazuya clone, right? He's kind of basic, not really interesting. I played Brian and I played Harang, of course Eddie, Tekken 3. They were more interesting characters than Jin was. But then like, story progressed in 4 when he comes back in this hoodie, and I'm like, he looks freaking sick. I don't like giving Jin a hoodie and like this attitude that he was betrayed by his family, and he unlearns the Kazama, the what do you call it, the Mishima style to learn the Kazama style, traditional karate. It changed his character completely, which made me like him. Same character, right? But like he changed his like whole look and his style, and that resonated with me a little bit better. And this is kind of a weird like instance where it's uncommon for somebody to make a change and then like it, because I know sometimes when you have a beloved character and you change them, people are like, oh, I hate that, I like the original look better. But this is one of those weird instances where I was like, I wasn't sold on Jin at 3. Then when 4 came out, I was like, I'm picking this character. He's my new main now, right? And I was more invested in this version of Jin. Now he does still have his classic look, like in 3, like shirt and gloves, right? But I think him unlearning the Mishima style and learning his like mother style more, I was like, this is character growth and development within the lore of the game, and it's portrayed really well. Kind of like in I don't know if this is true, Ace, you may want to like back me up on this or correct me. Sometimes Ryo has a different stance in his games, right? And in King of Fighters, like, why is that? Like, and sometimes the roster selection in King of Fighters is based on the story, why they're not available for that year, right? Or what's happening in the story. So stuff like that, I think, is good detail to kind of like share with the gamer and kind of like express, like those small details that we don't really appreciate. But this is the big one. I really wanted to share this with chat because if you play a fighting game, and normally when you change a character in a fighting game, you get upset. And they change them up. Like, I don't like that. King of Fighters games are always changing up their character. So if you're familiar with that, it's going to happen. But in Tekken, not so much. And especially with Jin. Jin has been on this like journey of like, what am I like? He's been a terrible character throughout the series, right? And only in 8 he's like really good. So it's kind of good to see, like, it's almost like he hasn't found his stride in any of the games. He was just kind of a mid okay character, but now he's like finally found his like form or whatever. He finally found his purpose and his power. And he's actually good in the game, which is kind of ironic because he's actually a good character now in competitive also. So I just wanted to share that. And I thought it was special.
No, it's a great example because it's it's a character that again, just going back to every single point that we had on the roundtable tonight, from the visual design to the the lore and personality in context to the mechanics. That's Jin's evolution from 3 all the way up through 8 is a perfect microcosm of everything we've discussed.
Sure.
And just 2 more things really quick that kind of to kind of wrap this up. Some other really good things to keep an eye out for as far as what makes a character iconic. Their longevity and their cultural impact. Again, Pikachu being a global mascot for Pokemon. Chun-Li, just as a fighting game character, she has inspired pretty much every other female fighting game character that came after her was inspired by her in some way, shape, or fashion.
I think she's labeled as the strongest woman in fighting games.
Yep. And then, also, going back to characters like Pikachu and, Kirby and Ryu, and Mario, there's, of course, their memorable voices and performances. Because, along with the look, there's also a certain sound that, that is paired with that. So, you've got the high-pitched, squealy Pika Pika, or you've got the, gravelly, delivery of David Hayter's Solid Snake, or the simple, it's a me, Mario. Even saying that in a normal voice when you're not trying to mimic the character, just the line itself, you hear it in that character's voice. You can read their lines in that character's voice because it just, it's all linked together. And it's all linked together, mentally, just from someone's memories of when they first saw them in any particular piece of media.
Linked.
But thinking back to that though, that's also another thing that makes certain silent protagonists iconic. Because again, they don't talk. But it's that silence that defines them, like Cronin, like Gordon Freeman. Or, let's say you're playing Metroid. You played the Metroid series, you skipped over Other M for whatever reason. But then you get to Metroid Dread. You get to that one part where Samus loses her shit. And you just hear that howl of rage from under the helmet. You're like, that's when you know the whole thing is just going to get flipped on its head. But it's that performance. It's the voice, it's the sound, or lack thereof. Anything you guys want to add to that real quick before we polish it off?
No, I mean, like
think we
you
nailed
said, Mario sounds Mario, and like whenever you think of, it's like
Mario is Mario.
No, you listen. You imagine if you heard a different Mario voice when Mario exclamatories, right? Well,
I hear Bob Hoskins' voice in the back of my head.
exactly. Even
Mario.
remember, even when Chris Pratt played Mario in the movie, we were kind of pushing back against it. We're like, Chris Pratt, what the heck? That's weird, you know? So, I mean, yeah, we get attached to these things. Absolutely. Imagine if we heard Link's voice and we were just like, sucks. He should shut up. It's like,
Sucks.
don't talk
This is like,
ever
no,
again.
stop.
Gonna go. People are gonna start posting and burning their Zelda collections.
What if Link started talking sounded like Toad? You know,
I
like,
think that'd actually be pretty funny. Maybe that's.
Zelda. Oh, stop. Dude.
Excuse me, princess.
Princess.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like, yo, what if? Okay, what
I
if,
might have
what
woken
if
my
Link
daughter
started
up.
talking and he sounded like Gilbert Gottfried?
Hey, welcome to the show. Yago from Aladdin. All right, cool. No, it's like that's my jam. I love characters. I love character design. That's why, honestly, one of the reasons why I haven't played Final Fantasy VII Remake is I swear to you that I will get emotional when I hear it's Cloud talking to Tifa and Tifa talking to Barrett, right? Like that's just me because I've never heard their voices before. And so I'm just gonna be like, "That's what you sound like. That's how you talk to each other." Oh man, like I remember you guys talking. Like, it's just gonna be. I'm gonna be.
No matter what my opinions may be on the remake trilogy, Barrett steals the show.
So far, I played the demo.
Brace
I like
yourself
what I'm
for
hearing. I like what I'm hearing, but it's just like I'm gonna have that. I know the moment where I see Cloud and Tifa standing on the tower, chatting. Like when I was a kid, I was like, "Oh, this is one of the coolest moments." Like I always wanted a girl as a friend, and like stuff like that. So like when I hear that conversation, I'm probably gonna go back to like 15-year-old James and be like, "This is what I liked." Oh, this is awesome. Like stuff like that. That's why I've been not playing the game. All right. Anyway, thank you, Ace. Characters are iconic. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's
What are
tonight. So yeah, for the folks in the chat, keep letting us know some of your favorite characters, some of your most iconic favorites.
and why is Virgil cooler than Dante?
Because Virgil's supposed to be cool and Dante's a dork.
Oh, good. You guys playing the same stuff from last week? I know I'm stuck on Mass Effect 3. I'm like obsessed with it.
Like me, I've been, like I mentioned, I've been getting back into Monster Hunter because of that update.
Yeah.
But I've also started picking up Skull the Hero Slayer again.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
Yeah, another really exceptional game. And another silent protagonist that lets his actions do the talking for him.
What about you, Nick?
Still playing Heretic Hexen. Because you've been playing Mass Effect, I reinstalled Mass Effect 3 so I could play the multiplayer, and I've been playing the multiplayer again.
Nice. It's still live?
Yeah,
That's
it's still
cool.
live. Who knows for how long? Maybe this is one of the things that Stop Killing Games can help me out with, because if EA takes those servers offline, I'll be sad because it's so much fun to get back.
They literally
into it.
have no reason to take those down. It's one of the arguments is that you want to keep the people from playing other games so they can play your games. So why would you do that?
Well, and I love this just because I forgot how many characters they had added and so many different archetypes. It's definitely worth jumping back into to see you can have like a Batarian Vanguard running around or a Volus Adept, and it's pretty fun.
That's cool. I won't be getting to experience that, unfortunately, in the Legendary Edition. But that sounds cool.
Yeah, I had to, like I said, I had to reinstall 3 through my EA account.
Was it a separate download, or were you forced to download the multiplayer also?
No, the multiplayer is just in the game.
Okay.
And actually, it was tied to your war readiness in the original.
Oh, that's cool. See,
game.
oh man, I feel like I'm missing out.
So one of the things you could have done is, although there's still certain things you need to do in the game to improve your war readiness by the end of it, you could literally get to 100% war readiness just through multiplayer.
Yeah, that's good.
Cool. Minus the clear flag stuff I was just mentioning. But yeah, I've already hit 100% just after playing a few matches.
I was talking to our colleague, a former colleague, And I was telling her I was playing Mass Effect 3. You know what would be cool in the next Mass Effect if the multiplayer contributed to the storyline, just like in 3 kind of did, right? But like there's a world war or whatever, or a galaxy war. So you like you said, different factions are fueling that, almost like a Helldivers type thing. So I was like, we were just shooting ideas back and forth. It's
Yeah.
definitely
It's pretty great because you can also, once they hit level 20, which was cap, you could promote them, go back to level 1, but then that character would be a resource in your single player game that would
every
show
time
up
you
on
hit
the war
20, they
readiness.
become
Yeah.
a okay. Man, that's super. See, I think that's reasons for you to play multiplayer to enhance your single player experience. Great idea. Great
Yeah.
idea. I love
Well, that was one
it.
of the reasons I not pushed back, but why I kind of fought a little bit for the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer mode was just because it did tie in smartly to the main story
Yeah.
and it made sense. That's why I liked it so much. It's also kind of the reason why I got into the multiplayer for Inquisition as well, because it had similar bones kind of
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah, you're right about that. I just feel like it didn't run it didn't it ran very poorly.
oh
And
man, this thing's still crashing on me now. Like it's just I've lost. There was one game I literally lost connection to the Mass Effect servers
yeah.
like 4 times trying to boot it up. It sucked.
Oh
Yeah.
no!
There's one like DSL like server that they have connected.
There was some upset dude that they're still playing
Yeah.
multiplayer, like hitting the switch.
The DM was just like, I hate this. But anyway, yeah, speaking of battles, we're going to go to our last segment of the show, the final boss. I need a final boss intro. Do I have one? I need one. You guys have a recommendation? I don't want to do like One Winged Angel. I got 2 seconds of, here, how about this?
Now I'm motivated.
Thank you, Virgil. I appreciate
You know
you.
what? Why not? Just stick with Virgil.
Yeah, he's motivated. We're here to motivate people all day, every day. So, also speaking of motivation, check out the latest comic in Little Big Life Comics. It's up now. It is about glass half empty or half full. And I have a special gaming edition one coming up on Sunday, so make sure to check up on that. It is going to be parodying a video game, so a little preview for you guys. All right, guys. Final boss time. You know what it is. Tonight it will be about. Let's go back to my notes. Even the strongest enemy or boss was once a tutorial enemy. Now, what do I mean by that? It just means you level up in life. Okay? You power up, you grind it out, and next thing you know, that tutorial, at the beginning, the tutorial boss is just a normal NPC later on. This is actually seen very well in Dark Souls, where in the beginning you fight one Black Knight and you're like having a difficult time defeating this Black Knight NPC. But then later on, as you progress through the game, during like 80 hours in or whatever, they're just regular NPCs and you're killing them in 2 hits. So I kind of want to cover that tonight, where it called Even the Strongest Boss Was Once a Tutorial Enemy. Okay. So with that said, even legendary heroes or terrifying bosses ever fought in a game started at level 1. Now, they weren't born with epic armor, maxed out stats, or world-ending powers. They had to grind, learn, and fail before becoming the challenge they are today, right? Level up yourself. This mirrors life. People we look up to, athletes, creators, leaders, or even mentors, all started as beginners. Now, your tutorial enemy phase doesn't define you. It prepares you. Now, like I said, in Dark Souls, remember how the Asylum Demon looked impossible the first time? Yeah, giant creature, of course. But later on, you can crush it in a few hits, right? Growth changes perspective. Now, in Final Fantasy, villains like Sephiroth or Kefka didn't start godlike. Their backstories show they were just another recruiter clown, right? Even Sephiroth was just a soldier, right? Then became the hero of the story. Now, in Pokemon, that one level 3 Pidgey grinding in tall grass could, with enough training, become a terrifying competitive monster. You grind enough, your Pidgey eventually becomes a Mewtwo level threat. Now, what's your motivational takeaway? I say, don't compare your level 1 journey to someone else's level 50 boss fight. It is your journey. You hold that to yourself. Now, with great power, No, not with responsibility. Power comes from patience, repetition, and mistakes. Keep that in mind. Power comes from patience, repetition, and mistakes. Mistakes is a key word here. You're allowed to mess up, right? What does Batman say? Right? It's not about how many times you fall down. It's about how
Why,
many times you get
why
up.
do we fall?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we
You
can
know,
pick ourselves back up.
exactly. Now, today's struggles we may feel overwhelming, but tomorrow they'll be your warm-up fights. All right, just stay hopeful, stay strong. Okay, just keep that in mind. Even the strongest bosses want a tutorial in. That's it for tonight. Anyway, all right, class. That is it for today's show. It's time to face the final boss, and I'll give you this last segment here for even the strongest boss is your tutorial. Now, think about this. Sephiroth didn't start off as the one-winged angel, right? He was just another soldier with it says bad haircut, but I think his haircut was pretty cool. That giant Dark Souls boss was once flattened, that flattened you in one hit. Eventually, you'll stop it back and laugh and be like, hey, I hit you twice and you died. So here's some serious truth, okay? Don't compare your level 1 to someone else level 50. We all start fumbling out the controls, button mash way through life. Okay? Growth comes from repetition, patience, and yeah, getting your face wrecked a few times. I've been playing Street Fighter 6 against Sagat, and I hate that character so much. I still keep going. I still try to beat it as much as possible. Okay? Here's the epic part. Today's impossible challenge, that thing standing in your way right now, is just tomorrow's warm-up fight. One day, you'll look back and realize that this boss was just training you for the real end game. So, as your father brain of the Game Academy, keep grinding, keep saving your progress, and remember, the only way you don't win is if you put down a controller. All right? Class dismissed. See y'all next time. Where's my thing? Where's my thing? There it is.
Mission complete.
You also can't spell evolution correctly.
And there's the L.